Warrior Lore. Chapter 499. Ho Bumming's attack was cunning and vicious. It was clean, fast, accurate, and ruthless to the extreme. Not only was it enough to prove that he had gone through hundreds of battles and had rich experience, but he was also very powerful. The vast and mighty aura suppressed the vast sky. Although Ho Bumming was at the perfect martial marquis level and his cultivation had yet to reach the peak of the perfect martial marquis level, just by relying on his speed, accuracy, ruthlessness, craftiness, and viciousness, it was sufficient to cause very few people within the martial marquis level to be able to contend against him. A terrifying aura swept out. Ho Bumming's figure and palm print also rapidly expanded in Du Xiaofu's eyes. Walala! Although the terrifying palm print had not actually landed on Du Xiaofu's body, the terrifying force that the palm print carried was enough to crush an ordinary martial lord of the Nirvana realm into pieces. However, Du Xiaofu was still as steady as a rock, with a faint smile on his face. Not good. Seeing this scene, many people could not help but suck in a breath of cold air for Du Xiaofu. Just as the terrifying palm print appeared in front of Du Xiaofu under many dumbfounded gazes, a strange, mysterious rune suddenly spread out from Du Xiaofu's eyes. Chi! At this moment, it was as if there were rays of light shooting out from Du Xiaofu's eyes. The light from the mysterious runes overlapped, and finally, like a ray of light, enveloped Ho Bumming, who had appeared in an instant. In this short moment, Ho Bumming seemed to have suddenly felt something. His gaze changed greatly, but it was too late. He wanted to retreat and struggle with all his might, but he could not. No one in the drill ground below knew what was going on. All they saw was that Ho Bumming's eyes, which were still sharp a moment ago, had suddenly turned dull. Then, the terrifying palm that could suppress everything dissipated in front of many shocked gazes. Buzz! Suddenly, the entire sky trembled. The strange light in Du Xiaofu's eyes dissipated. Then, a green-gold sword appeared in his hand. Runes flowed around it. It looked like it was formed by nature. Then, he slashed out with the sword in a flash. Swish! The sword light swept out, and a mighty pressure swept across the sky, stirring up the energy of heaven and earth. It was as if a spiritual python had attacked, and a flood dragon had soared into the sky. The azure gold brilliance shone brightly, as if it was about to drown Du Xiaofu. The sword light swept past Ho Bumming's body with lightning speed. Rumble! Wherever the sword ray passed, a long crack appeared on the ground of the drill ground below. It was as if an earthquake had broken the ground. It was horrifying. The disciples of the World Society who were close to it retreated in fear. This sword strike was enough to shake mountains and rivers, shatter mountains and crack the earth, and destroy everything. Chi-la-la! When Ho Bumming regained his senses in the air, his body had already begun to crack. However, before he could even let out a miserable shriek, his skinny body had already split open from the middle in the air. While fresh blood spurted out, a dazzling golden light erupted from his body. Within the golden light, talismans and mysterious markings flickered, and it was like a golden-winged rock had flapped its wings. Grand light suffused the air as it soared into the 9 heavens, and a pressure swept through the sky, causing the veins and souls of everyone below to tremble violently. Bang bang! Ho Bumming's body exploded within the golden light, turning into a bloody mist and disappearing. He couldn't be more dead. Even when Ho Bumming died, he probably didn't expect that he would end up like this. Silence. Silence. There was a deathly silence all around. Everyone's eyes were glued to the sky. Only Eagle King, Gong Dao, Yi Piaoling, and a few others revealed faint smiles on their faces. To them, this outcome wasn't strange at all. Du Xiaofu floated high up in the sky. The ancient and elegant azurite long sword in his hand exuded a mighty pressure. High-grade Dao artifact. Hermit Wuzhen's old face turned pale. Ho Bumming had been killed in a single move, and he didn't even know how he died. This made him tremble. At this moment, Hermit Wuzhen finally understood Du Xiaofu's true goal. How was it to abdicate? It was to intimidate. That terrifying azurite long sword made his heart tremble. It was definitely a high-grade Dao artifact. Hua Fankong, Bai Qi, Xiaowenxing, and the others were also stunned. However, They soon recovered from their shock, and joy appeared on their faces. Chow Yu looked at the sky, and his body was trembling violently. When Ho Bumming's body turned into a bloody mist, even his soul was trembling. Goo goo. After a moment of dead silence, the sound of people sucking in cold breaths could be heard. As a disciple of the World Society, how could the people present not know that Ho Bumming, was a perfected martial marquis and was not far from the martial king realm? However, at this moment, Ho Bumming, who was a perfected martial marquis, was killed on the spot in one move. How shocking was this? I intended to give the position of president to Ho Bumming, but I didn't expect Ho Bumming to be so weak. I overestimated Ho Bumming's strength. Du Xiaofu looked around and sighed. Then, he pointed the tyrannical shadow at Chow Yu and said, "Chow Yu, it's your turn. I hope you won't disappoint me." The guild leader is going to eliminate Chow Yu after eliminating Ho Bumming. A World Society disciple with extraordinary eyesight trembled. At this moment, the president was going to eliminate Chow Yu to intimidate the rest of the society. Bang! However, as soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, Chow Yu's knees trembled as he knelt on the ground. He shouted to the people behind him, "Kneel!" Chow Yu's followers were already trembling when they saw Ho Bumming killed in a single move. When they heard Chow Yu shout, they shivered and immediately knelt on the ground in panic. "Chow Yu, why are you doing this?" Du Xiaofu hovered in the air. A cold smile appeared on his face as he looked at Chow Yu and asked, "President, please forgive me. How would I dare to covet the president's position? I was muddle-headed and was instigated by others to be disrespectful to you. However, I would never dare to betray you. President, please forgive me." Chow Yu knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. At this moment, how could he not know that the president wasn't planning to abdicate? He was clearly luring the snake out of its hole. Ho Bumming's fate was a precedent. If they fought, he and Ho Bumming were equally matched. If Ho Bumming was killed in a single move, his fate could be imagined. "President, please forgive me." Behind Chow Yu, many people knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. At this moment, Chow Yu had already proven his position. They were even more terrified. "President, you are so mighty. I don't know what rule Commander Ho has broken, but President actually wants to kill Commander Ho. Isn't this a little too vicious and merciless?" Just as Chow Yu and the others were about to express their stance, Hermit Wuzhen's voice rang out. He raised his head and looked at Du Xiaofu in the air, his eyes suffused with a malicious glint. Ho Bumming being killed in a single move and Du Xiaofu not placing him in his eyes at all, Hermit Wuzhen finally began to worry about himself. Rather than waiting for this brat's momentum to settle, he might as well find an opportunity now. In the entire World Assembly, only the Medicine King could contend against him. Even the Eagle King's Gong Blade was slightly weaker. At this moment, it wasn't as if he didn't have a chance. The Medicine King hadn't shown himself today, so perhaps this was his chance. As Hermit Wuzhen spoke, everyone's gazes fell on Hermit Wuzhen and Du Xiaofu. At this moment, even the Eagle King's Gong Blade frowned. On the other hand, Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, Little Tiger, Yi Piaoling, and the others quietly stood to the side without much change in their expressions. "Elder, Ho Bumming died in a single blow. How can you say that I killed him? From the looks of it, Elder wishes to seek justice for Ho Bumming. Could it be that you wish to replace Ho Bumming to exchange pointers with me?" Du Xiaofu looked at Hermit Wuzhen. He didn't seem surprised by Hermit Wuzhen's appearance, but a cold glint flashed through his eyes without leaving a trace. "President is a young hero, but since you wish to give up your position, this old man won't be courteous." As soon as Mountain Man Wuzhen spoke, a mighty ripple swept out from his tall and thin body like a hurricane. What a powerful pressure! My soul can't resist it. As Hermit Wuzhen's aura surged out, the surrounding World Society disciples retreated and circulated their Xin Qi to resist. The terrifying aura spread out, causing everyone's soul to tremble. "President, are you really going to fight with Hermit Wuzhen? That's a 6-star Mystic Realm Talisman Master, comparable to a Martial King Mystic Realm expert." The few leaders of the World Society who knew about Hermit Wuzhen's identity were all shocked when they saw this scene. The president was only 17 or 18 years old. Could it be that he had reached the stage where he could fight against a martial king? Du Xiaofu looked at Hermit Wuzhen and waved dominating shadow. He looked down at Hermit Wuzhen and said, "Since that's the case, please make your move." When Du Xiaofu's voice fell, a faint golden light flickered in his clear eyes. Golden light surged around his body, and a terrifying profound qi spread out from his body. His purple robe fluttered, and faint golden talisman inscriptions overflowed and flickered on his exposed skin. Haha, you asked for it. You're too arrogant. You're not suited to be the president of world society. Hermit Wuzhen sneered, his eyes sinister. As soon as he spoke, his figure floated in the air like a bolt of lightning. A pair of withered hands reached out from his robes. Energy rippled as if it could distort space. Chapter 500. In an instant, waves of heaven and earth energy surged over. Hermit Wuzhen seemed to have been secretly prepared. In a short moment, 21 array flags were formed in his palm. Without a doubt, Hermit Wuzhen had been secretly preparing for this. He was extremely cunning. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to form 21 array flags so quickly. If you have the ability, then break my 1,000 blade soul killing array. Hermit Wuzhen sneered. The array flags were already formed. Even a martial king would find it difficult to forcefully break out of a 6-star array. No matter how extraordinary Du Xiaofu was, he was still too inexperienced to be feared. Swish, swish, swish. 21 array flags flew into the sky, turning into dazzling rune light pillars and disappearing. In an instant, the wind whistled high up in the sky, and dazzling runes spread all over the sky. A powerful rune array appeared in the air and directly enveloped Du Xiaofu. Rumble. The array was terrifying. Endless energy rune light distorted the space. Finally, countless blade lights swept across the sky. The blade lights were like living creatures, tearing the sky apart as they gathered to form a terrifying array. Under everyone's gazes, Du Xiaofu's body was already enveloped by the terrifying array. The terrifying array swept across the sky. Even the entire Chaos Demon City was stirred up. The pressure spread, causing the entire city to tremble. At this moment, countless figures in Chaos Demon City were trembling. The World Society disciples around the World Society's drill ground were trembling in fear. Under that shocking pressure, those with weaker cultivation paled, and blood flowed out of their mouths. What a terrifying array! This is a 6-star array. No one in the entire dark forest can set it up. Hua Fankong, Bai Qi, Xiaowenxing, and the others had grave expressions. The profound qi in their bodies seemed to stagnate as their hearts trembled. Even Yi Piaoling's brows were slightly furrowed. Only Hermit Wuzhen's face was pale. However, there was a cold smile in his eyes. That brat could kill Ho Bumming in one move. He was indeed extraordinary, but he was still too inexperienced. The blade array swept across, its might sharp and murderous. Its power made one's heart tremble. Voila! At this moment, a golden stream of light rushed out of the terrifying sword matrix. The light was like a 5-fingered mountain with golden talisman patterns flashing on it. There was a fluctuation in the air, and there was a strange energy that seemed to be able to distort the void. Qi! A golden figure suddenly appeared in front of the pale-faced mountain man Wu Zhen like a bolt of golden lightning. How could this be? This is impossible. The sneer in mountain man Wu Zhen's eyes was now replaced with shock. All of this had exceeded his expectations. Du Xiaofu's figure had appeared in front of him without a single ripple. His saber array had not reacted at all. Not good. A sense of unease crept up from the depths of mountain man Wu Zhen's soul, and he hurriedly tried to retreat. Swish! But it was too late. The sword glow exploded, and the azure gold light spread out, instantly appearing in front of mountain man Wu Zhen's chest. Hermit Wu Zhen was shocked. However, he was a 6-star mysterious talisman master after all. He was not a weakling. There were not many people in the dark forest who could fight against him. Amidst his panic, mysterious runes erupted from his body. They turned into a dazzling circular shield formed by mysterious runes. It blocked the sword light in front of him like water. Qi, after all, a technique condensed in a hurry could not last for long. The sword glow destroyed the shield condensed from talisman runes, but the sword glow was also completely blocked. Mountain Man Wuzhen took this opportunity to retreat. I originally thought that you could secretly set up a 6-star mysterious spirit talisman array, but it seems like your strength is insufficient. You can only set up a 6-star beginner talisman array. You've disappointed me. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's figure drifted like a god, appearing like a ghost. At the same time, a fist imprint with the momentum of a bolt of lightning suddenly landed on the chest of Mountain Man Wuzhen, who had thought he had just escaped. Boom! With a muffled boom, Mountain Man Wuzhen staggered backward. The terrifying saber array in the air began to crack and shatter, transforming into runes that scattered in the sky. Oomph! After stabilizing his body, Mountain Man Wuzhen groaned. A smear of blood seeped out of the corner of his lips as he maliciously stared at Du Xiaofu, the corners of his eyes twitching. The surrounding sky once again fell silent. This scene appeared too quickly, and before the crowd could recover, they had already witnessed this shocking scene. Even the strongest person present had not been able to clearly see what had happened. Mountain Man Wuzhen's defeat had been far too inexplicable. Du Xiaofu floated in the air, his tyrannical aura spreading out as he coldly stared at Mountain Man Wuzhen. Mountain Man Wuzhen, you are a 6-star mysterious spirit talisman master. In front of me, you don't have much right to be arrogant. If you are truly willing to stay in the World Assembly, I will welcome you. If you are unwilling to stay, I will let you go on account of Medicine King and Old Yao. Mountain Man Wuzhen stared at Du Xiaofu with a frighteningly malevolent gaze. He had never imagined that things would turn out like this. At this moment, Mountain Man Wuzhen finally understood. He had thought that this brat was too inexperienced, but who would have thought that after fighting eagles his entire life, he would be pecked in the eye today? This brat was clearly using him to show off. And now, Mountain Man Wuzhen truly did not dare to casually make a move against Du Xiaofu. In his eyes, Du Xiaofu was currently unfathomable. His 6-star initial ascension talisman array was completely useless, and he had lost his greatest backing. Moreover, the World Assembly still had Eagle King, Gong Dao, and Medicine King, Yi Wuming. If he were to make a move, he would not have any advantage. As for continuing to stay in the World Assembly, Mountain Man Wuzhen could not bring himself to do so. In the future, he would not be able to raise his head in the World Assembly. When Hermit Wuzhen joined the World Society, it wasn't because he valued the society's future. Instead, it was because of the existence of the Medicine King, Dr. Wuming. He wanted to obtain benefits from the Medicine King, Dr. Wuming. If he wanted to join any power, his future would be limitless even if he went to the Central Region, let alone the Dark Forest. Kiki, Mountain Man Wuzhen's pale face was now alternating between green and white. After a while, he suddenly flicked his sleeves and sneered, shouting, "Back then, I only joined the tiny World Assembly because of the Medicine King. Since you are so arrogant and conceited, if you don't want me here, there will naturally be a place for me. This old man will leave today. Is there anyone who wants to follow me? Leaving this tiny World Assembly anywhere is better than the World Assembly." Hearing Mountain Man Wuzhen's words, the people around the plaza looked at each other. In the end, the 20 or so martial marquises and pulse spirit realm cultivators who had followed Ho Bumming immediately walked out, intending to leave with Mountain Man Wuzhen. Ho Bumming was already dead, so it was not difficult for them to imagine their own fates. Then, the crowd became restless. Another 100 or so people walked out from the crowd, trembling in fear. They followed behind the martial marquises and pulse spirit realm cultivators. These 100 or so people were the trusted aides of the first 20 or so people. Now that the leader wanted to leave, they naturally could not stay and wanted to leave with him. However, it was only these people. The rest of the World Assembly disciples looked at each other, but did not walk out. Seeing that so many people were willing to leave with him, and that most of them were leaders of various ranks, Mountain Man Wuzhen revealed a somewhat complacent cold smile. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "Brat, slowly deal with the silver-winged demonic condor. Goodbye." Looking at Mountain Man Wuzhen, who was about to leave, Du Xiaofu's face revealed a slight smile. He opened his mouth and slowly asked, "Seems like there are quite a few traitors. I wonder how the traitors will be punished?" Replying to the president, The traitors will be killed without mercy. Li Shui raised her head and gently opened her mouth. Her clear voice, accompanied by profound energy, reverberated around the drill ground. As Li Shui's voice fell, the 100 or so people who had just walked out immediately turned pale. Their bodies suddenly stiffened, and a feeling of unease climbed up from the depths of their hearts. The traitors will be killed without mercy, Du Xiaofu said indifferently. His eyes suddenly turned sharp as he looked directly at Mountain Man Wuzhen. Mountain Man Wuzhen, on account of the Medicine King, I will spare you this time. You want to take away the traitors of my world assembly? Do you think that I won't dare to kill you? I guarantee you that if you don't get out of Chaos Demon City within 3 breaths, I will definitely make sure that you die without a complete corpse. If you don't believe me, you can try. His voice reverberated in the air, causing a chill to fill the area. Anyone could hear the murderous intent in his voice. Mountain Man Wuzhen's face alternated between red and green. When had he ever suffered such humiliation? However, Mountain Man Wuzhen really did not dare to make a move now. Du Xiaofu was not afraid of his talisman array at all. The World Assembly also had the Eagle King, Gong Dao, and the Medicine King, Yi Wuming. If the 3 of them joined forces, they might really be able to keep him here. It would be difficult for him to stand alone. Good, good, good. After shouting good 3 times in a row, Hermit Wuzhen's expression became extremely ugly. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said, Kid, the mountains do not move, the water moves. The mountains do not change, and the rivers flow forever. We will meet again. Swoosh, Mountain Man Wuzhen immediately leaped and left. He did not dare to stay any longer. His figure disappeared into the distance, but he did not pay any attention to the 100 or so people who wanted to leave with him. At this moment, the 100 or so people who wanted to leave with Mountain Man Wuzhen all turned ghastly pale. Chapter 501. Traitors, kill without mercy. In the sky, Du Xiaofu shouted. He waved the tyrant shadow in his hand and instantly transformed into an azure gold sword whip. Dazzling azure gold talisman patterns bloomed, and its aura was domineering and terrifying. Its dazzling brilliance scattered across the sky. Chi-la-la, the azure gold sword whip transformed, agile and dazzling. It was like a spirit python or a flood dragon soaring into the sky as it swept down at the hundreds of people below. Ah, the terrifying aura made people's souls tremble. Then, screams and wails rang out in the drill ground. Chi-la-la, the sword whip was like lightning, killing everything in its path. A World Society traitor was easily killed. The stronger martial marquises resisted with all their strength, using talisman patterns and extraordinary auras. But in front of the tyrant shadow, they were still invincible. All resistance was destroyed by the domineering aura. Chi-la-la, the azure gold sword whip was bewitching. In the end, it turned back into a natural, simple, and elegant azure gold sword and returned to Du Xiaofu's hand. More than 100 people, including several martial marquises, were all killed in a short period of time. A bloody mist spilled across the drill ground, and the aura was intimidating and fierce. The entire drill ground was dead silent, and everyone's hair stood on end. This method of luring the snake out of its hole, making the traitors jump out of their own accord. How could this person be a rookie with such decisiveness? This was clearly a malefic star that did not match his age. Chao Yu and the others were still kneeling on one knee, not daring to get up. Even when Hermit Wuzhen attacked, Chao Yu gritted his teeth and did not get up. Looking at the fierce killing before him, Chao Yu knew that he had made the right bet. If not for absolute confidence, why would the purple-robed youth before him start to purge the world society? If he had chosen Hermit Wuzhen, he would probably have ended up in a similar state. The eyes of all the world society disciples trembled as they looked at the bloody scene on the drill ground. All of them felt their hair stand on end. More than 100 people, including martial marquises and Meridian Spirit Realm cultivators, were killed by the purple-robed youth without even blinking. His actions were clean and efficient, and his personality was decisive. It was a complete contrast with his face, which looked like it was only 17 or 18 years old. Just last night, some of the members of the World Society were secretly discussing how their mysterious guild leader was actually a young man who was still wet behind the ears. Even though he was Du Xiaofu from Tianwu Academy, he was still a young man who was still wet behind the ears. In a place like the Dark Forest, how could he possibly have the means and capability to lead the world society to fight against the various powers? And now, seeing Ho Bumming and company killed and Hermit Wuzhen leaving in a sorry state, the world society disciples finally understood that the purple-robed youth was not someone to be trifled with. Otherwise, they would not even know how they died. Traitors, kill traitors. Du Xiaofu floated in the air and looked down at the kneeling Chao Yu. He asked, Vice Leader Chao, why are you still kneeling? Vice Leader Ho has unfortunately fallen. Why don't we invite Vice Leader Chao to become the president? President, please forgive me. How can I be worthy of the position of president? Only the current president is worthy of it. President, please retract your order. Chao Yu knelt on the ground and looked at Du Xiaofu. He said respectfully, from today onwards, Chao Yu will follow you to death. If I betray you, may the heavens strike me with lightning. We are also willing to follow you to death. Behind Chao Yu, many people were trembling as they swore to follow Chao Yu. The death of Ho Bumming and the others had already made their hearts tremble and their hair stand on end. Hua Fankong looked up and a smile appeared on his face. He stepped forward and knelt on one knee. He said, President, please retract your order. Only the president is qualified to be the president of the world society. We will definitely follow you to death. President, please retract your order. We will definitely follow you to death. Bai Qi, Xiao Wenqing, and the others also knelt on one knee and said loudly. Their voices reverberated in the air. President, please retract your order. We will definitely follow you to death. Around the drill ground, many World Society disciples looked at each other in dismay. They then knelt on one knee one after another. Their shocking voices reverberated in the air above the drill ground. Eagle King Gong Dao looked around. His single eye moved slightly as he looked at the sky. There was a trace of surprise in his eyes before a smile appeared on his face. In the air, Du Xiaofu's expression was still indifferent. He looked around and said loudly, Since this is the case, then I will announce one thing. From now on, the World Society will appoint Vice President, Incense Master, Banner Master, and Branch Master to be in charge of the external affairs of the World Society. In addition, there will be consecrators, elders, protectors, and deacons to be in charge of the internal affairs of the World Society. Yao Wang and Yao Lao will be consecrators, Eagle King will be World Society's Grand Elder, Hua Fankong will be Incense Master of the World Society's 6 Incense Hall and Yellow Earth Hall. Li Shui will be Incense Master of the World Society's Moon Shadow Hall. The Incense Masters of the Sharp Metal Hall, Greenwood Hall, and Scarlet Fire Hall will be temporarily appointed. After a pause, Du Xiaofu looked around and continued. In addition, the World Society will appoint Heavenly General Guards. Yi Piaoling will be the head of the Heavenly General Guards. The Heavenly General Guards will not interfere with any of the World Society's matters. They will only listen to the President. They will be in charge of all the punishments of the World Society. They can punish anyone who violates the rules at any time. When Du Xiaofu finished speaking, Yi Piaoling looked up at the sky. Her eyes moved slightly, and there were some fluctuations in them. As Du Xiaofu finished speaking, his figure slowly descended and landed in front of Chao Yu. As Du Xiaofu approached, Chao Yu's entire body trembled inwardly for no reason, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Especially the terrifying pressure on the azure gold long sword. It caused the profound energy in his body to stagnate, and his meridians and soul to tremble. As Du Xiaofu approached step by step, his heartbeat also accelerated. Swish! When Du Xiaofu arrived in front of Chao Yu, dominating shadow returned to his body. He helped Chao Yu up with one hand and said, Commander Chao, please dispense with the formalities. From now on, you will be in charge of the mysterious water hall. I will leave it to you. Thank you, President. Chao Yu heaved a sigh of relief. His life was saved. He had made the right choice. Otherwise, he wouldn't even know how he died like Ho Bumming. Everyone, rise. Du Xiaofu immediately said to all the disciples who were still kneeling on the ground. His brows were slightly relaxed, and there was a slight smile on his face. His aura was as light as the wind and clouds, as if nothing had happened. President is wise. The World Society disciples all stood up and their voices echoed in the surroundings. After a while, in a side hall of the World Society, Du Xiaofu, Yao Wang, Eagle King, Yi Piaoling, Du Xiaoqing, Li Shui, and Hua Fankong were all present. Today's results seem to be good. The World Society can be considered to have taken shape. In the side hall, Yao Wang looked at Du Xiaofu with a trace of surprise in his eyes. Yao Wang did not show up at the drill ground, but everything that happened there was clear to him. Today, not only did they completely remove the real malignant tumor of the World Society and intimidate the members of the World Society, they also achieved a combination of kindness and authority. They also completed the embryonic form of the World Society. The next thing to do was to stabilize and develop the World Society. I only took the opportunity to remove some malignant tumors. I didn't do much, but it has been hard on everyone during this period of time. Du Xiaofu smiled, but he didn't relax too much in his heart. Although he had intimidated some people today and removed some malignant tumors, the current World Society hadn't completely merged together, and its foundation was still extremely weak and not firm. However, he could not reach the heavens in a single step. He could only take it slowly in the future. Big brother, why did you let that annoying old man go in the beginning? Du Xiaoqing pouted. If not for the fact that she had been told not to casually make a move, she would have already killed that mountain man Wu Zhen. He is still useful to me. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly and then said to Du Xiaoqing, Little Qing, Big brother has something that I need your help with. No problem. Du Xiaoqing nodded. Her innocent eyes rippled with a smile. She looked harmless, but Eagle King, Gong Dao, Hua Fankong, Yi Piaoling, and the Medicine King all knew that Du Xiaoqing was the most terrifying person present. I'm afraid you didn't kill Mountain Man Wu Zhen because of me. Medicine King Yi Wuming said to Du Xiaofu, Actually, you don't have to worry about me. I don't have much of a relationship with that Mountain Man Wu Zhen. Otherwise, things wouldn't have turned out this way. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. The Medicine King was indeed one of the reasons why he did not kill Mountain Man Wu Zhen. After all, Mountain Man Wu Zhen had come to seek refuge with the Medicine King. If he was killed in the World Society, the Medicine King's reputation would naturally be damaged. It would also cause others to misunderstand the World Society. However, this was only one of the reasons. Du Xiaofu also had his own plans for not killing Mountain Man Wu Zhen. First, Mountain Man Wu Zhen was at the 6-star mystical realm. If he was angered and made a move, it was inevitable that some innocent people would be harmed in the World Society. Moreover, Du Xiaofu also had other plans in mind. Hermit Wu Zhen should be a narrow-minded person. This time, he had been completely slapped in the face in front of the World Congress. He probably wouldn't let this matter rest so easily. If Du Xiaofu's guess was right, he would probably react. Therefore, Du Xiaofu did not kill Mountain Man Wu Zhen today. If it was as he expected, then Mountain Man Wu Zhen would be of great help to him. It wouldn't be too late to kill him then. Everything would depend on himself. What do you plan to do about the silver-winged demonic condor? The Medicine King raised his head and looked at Du Xiaofu. His eyes narrowed as he asked, You injured 2 Beast Lord Realm monsters yesterday. I'm guessing that the silver-winged demonic condor will be enraged. In less than 3 days, it will launch a large-scale attack. I was just about to talk about this. Du Xiaofu smiled at the Medicine King and said, I want to meet the silver-winged demonic condor alone. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, the Eagle King Gong Dao immediately frowned and reminded Du Xiaofu, President, the silver-winged demonic condor is not an ordinary demonic beast. It has recently broken through to the Nirvana realm of the Beast King realm. Its bloodline is not even inferior to the ordinary demonic beasts on the heavenly beast list. With its talent and gathering of demonic beasts, I'm afraid that even a martial king realm expert at the peak of the consummate realm would not dare to break into the Chaos Demon Cliff alone. Chapter 502. The Medicine King frowned. Although he knew that Du Xiaoqing's strength was terrifying, the silver-winged demonic eagle, blue flame red leopard, and subduing tiger mastiff were not to be trifled with, especially the silver-winged demonic eagle. Are you confident? After a while, the Medicine King asked Du Xiaofu seriously. I plan to go to the Chaos Demon Cliff to take a look. Du Xiaofu shook his head at the Medicine King and said, I'm not confident. Let's go take a look first. If the silver-winged demonic eagle leads the beast horde to attack the city, I'm afraid the world meat won't be able to withstand that kind of attack. If we can make contact with the silver-winged demonic eagle, we might have unexpected gains. If you really want to go, Gong Dao and I will go with you, said the Medicine King. No need, old medicine. You and the Eagle King have to guard the Chaos Demon City. Let me, Little Qing, and Du Xiaoyao go. Du Xiaofu said. With Du Xiaoqing and Du Xiaoyao, even if they couldn't do anything to the silver-winged demonic eagle, it shouldn't be a problem to escape. Then you be careful. Hearing this, the Medicine King and the Eagle King both frowned. Seeing that Du Xiaofu had made up his mind, they didn't say anything more. In the afternoon, a huge black tiger flapped its wings and flew out of the world meet. 3 figures followed and instantly disappeared into the sky. In a pavilion, the Eagle King, Gong Dao, looked at the huge black tiger in the distance and asked the Medicine King beside him, Medicine King, with just the few of them going, can they safely escape from the Chaos Demon Cliff? It shouldn't be a problem to escape safely. Little Qing isn't an ordinary kind of strong. That kid isn't a reckless person either. If he dares to go, he naturally has some plans in his heart. The Medicine King looked at the sky and said softly, he has no choice but to go to the Chaos Demon Cliff in such a hurry. If he's slow, I'm afraid the trouble will get bigger. Is the King of Medicine talking about 1 pavilion and 1 castle, 2 doors? Eagle King Gong Dao naturally knew the current situation in the dark forest. 1 pavilion, 1 castle, 2 sects, and 4 great powers had been eyeing them covetously. If they didn't get rid of the silver-winged demon condor soon, the situation in World Meeting would only become more and more difficult. The Medicine King smiled bitterly and said, that's not the most troublesome thing. Don't forget that Xue Tianqiu of the Black Fiend sect is still looking for him all over the world. If Xue Tianqiu knows that he's in the World Society, I'm afraid it won't be long before he comes to Chaotic Demon City. If that's the case, then it's quite troublesome. Hearing this, the Eagle King's Gong Saber's single eye twitched slightly. The Chaos Demon City was an extremely large area. If the entire Chaos Demon City was added together, it would most likely be even larger than the Dark City. In fact, it might not even be smaller than the land area of several counties in the outside world. This was especially true for the area occupied by the demonic beasts. It was extremely large. Mountain ranges rose and fell, and the peaks were connected. Mountain peaks rose steeply from the ground, and they were not connected. Strange peaks were spread out. In the sky above the deep mountains, a ferocious black tiger flapped its wings. The surrounding ferocious birds did not dare to approach at all. Their ferocious eyes trembled as they trembled in fear. Be careful later. I told you not to follow me, but you just had to follow me. On the little tiger's back, Du Xiaofu looked at the woman beside him. His eyes revealed some helplessness. First Princess Cheng Xingnan smiled slightly. Her slender legs and slim waist made her already tall figure even more slender. She looked at Du Xiaofu with a charming smile. Then, she intimately wrapped her arms around Du Xiaofu's arm and said, since you want to come, I naturally have to follow. Don't worry, I can take care of myself. Besides, I'll be worried if you come. Du Xiaofu smiled helplessly. Under the faint fragrance beside him, he could not say anything more. Roar! The little tiger roared in a low voice. More and more ferocious birds appeared in front of them. However, under this roar, a large number of ferocious birds flapped their wings and fled, not daring to approach. It was likely that without the aura emitted by the little tiger, it would not be easy to smoothly pass through this area. Many of those ferocious birds were at the Pulse Spirit Realm, and ordinary martial marquee cultivators could easily surpass them. A moment later, a slender white line appeared in the mountain range, as if it wanted to cut the entire mountain range apart. As the distance closed, one could see clearly that it was a long cloud of mist, like a river of clouds in the low sky. Under the cloud of mist, there was a bottomless abyss. It was unknown how long it was, as if it extended to the end of the mountain range. It was extremely shocking to see. Behind the cloud of mist was a huge cliff. This cliff was like a heavenly wall pressing down on one's face. It was so tall that it seemed like it would collapse at any moment. Rocks stood tall on the cliff, and strange rocks were rugged. At the top of the mountain, there were lush trees and lush green trees. At this moment, the sun was slowly setting in the west, and the amber sunset gradually retreated from the horizon, causing this cliff to be even more shocking. That should be the Chaos Demon Cliff. Du Xiaofu looked at the huge cliff and spread out his mental power. His mind spied on it. There were many demonic beasts gathered in this mountain range, especially on the cliff in front of them. There were many terrifying beast clan auras spreading out. The Chaos Demon Cliff was the most feared existence in the Chaos Demon City because it was the headquarters of all the demonic beasts in the dark forest. The silver-winged demon eagle, the blue flame red leopard, and the subduing tiger mastiff, these three terrifying demonic beasts, occupied the Chaos Demon Cliff. Swish! The little tiger landed and its huge body shrank. Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoqing, and Cheng Xingnan also landed on the ground. They raised their heads and looked at the huge cliff. It was so tall that it was frightening. Squeak, squeak, roar. In the sky and on the ground, ferocious beasts surrounded them from afar. The ground trembled, and the mountain forest rose and fell, surrounding Du Xiaofu and the others. The number of demonic beasts was still increasing. In a moment, a dense wave of demonic beasts had gathered in the surrounding mountain forest. The ferocious beasts in the air screeched and flapped their wings, like dark clouds covering the sky. Many ferocious auras shrouded the mountain forest. There are some extraordinary demonic beasts coming. Du Xiaoyao stood on Du Xiaofu's shoulder. Suddenly, her spiritual eyes fluctuated, and she looked at the cliff. There are really many demonic beasts. Du Xiaofu's gaze swept across the surroundings, and then he looked at the cliff. There were many powerful auras there, and demonic beasts were rushing over. Squeak, squeak. After a few breaths, a large group of ferocious beasts flapped their wings and flew over from the cliff. Waves of air swept out, like a gale blowing. Many demonic beasts stood in the air at the front. At the front of the group of ferocious demonic beasts was a huge yellow python. It was circling in the air, and its entire body was covered in yellow scales. A cold aura spread out from its body, causing the surrounding space to fluctuate. The huge python was suspended in the air, and half of its huge body was hidden in the clouds. It was like a huge dragon floating in the air, causing people's hearts to tremble. Commander Yellow Python, it's him. It's the human who injured Commander Lai Xiong and Commander Tai Jiu yesterday. Looking at Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoqing, and Cheng Xingnan, a Beast Lord stage demonic beast immediately said to the huge yellow python, "Roar, GG." As these demonic beasts arrived, the surrounding ferocious beasts roared continuously, like thunder that resounded in all directions. A perfect Beast Lord stage golden demonic python, Du Xiaofu looked at the giant yellow python that was floating in the air, and his eyes were also moved by it. The golden demonic python was not bad. In terms of talent, it was even stronger than the king-scaled demonic tiger on the Earth Beast ranking. Of course, after the little tiger's evolution, only the demonic beasts on the heavenly beast ranking could compare to it. It was not even comparable to the ordinary demonic beasts on the heavenly beast ranking. Damn human, are you the one who injured Lai Xiong and Taijio? I didn't expect you to dare to come to the Chaos Demon Cliff. Today, I'll tear you apart. The golden demonic python coiled in the air, and a cold aura surged. Its cold eyes were fixed on Du Xiaofu, and the scarlet tongue in its mouth flickered. There were runes surging, and a vast pressure stirred the wind and clouds. The golden demonic python was at the perfect Beast Lord stage. Even a human expert who had just reached the Martial King realm might not be able to do anything to it. All the experts in the Martial Lord stage would have to retreat. Du Xiaofu looked at the golden demonic python. He cultivated the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock clan, so he would not be intimidated by the golden demonic python. He said, "Golden demonic python, we're here to find the silver-winged demonic condor. Lead the way." Humph. Do you think you can meet the commander-in-chief? Since you injured Lai Xiong and Taijio, I'll tear you apart first. As soon as he finished speaking, the golden demonic python exploded with a terrifying aura. Its yellow scales spread with runes, and its huge body swept out from the clouds in the air. Its dragon-like body was like a meteorite, and it charged straight at Du Xiaofu. Hiss hiss. The golden demonic python opened its bloody mouth and spat out its scarlet tongue. It exploded with a terrifying cold aura. Under the pressure of this cold aura, it was enough to freeze the profound energy in the body of an ordinary cultivator. The cold aura spread out. Looking at the golden demonic python that was charging at him like lightning, Du Xiaofu did not frown. Just as he was about to make a move, a green figure suddenly appeared in front of him and said in a delicate voice, "Brother, you can leave this little snake to me." Boom! As soon as the delicate voice fell, a strong green rune light burst out from Du Xiaoqing's graceful body. Then, an extremely terrifying aura suddenly rippled out, causing the entire space to tremble violently. At this moment, the golden demonic python that was charging straight at him seemed to have suddenly felt something, and its fierce eyes trembled. Roar! GG! At this moment, the countless ferocious beasts in the surroundings trembled for no reason. The birds in the sky almost fell from the sky. They all felt an unbearable pressure descend on their souls and bloodlines. Chapter 503. Du Xiaoqing completely ignored the golden demonic python's meteorite-like, terrifying charge. Her fair and slender hand clenched into a fist as a green glow erupted. She unbelievably punched the golden demonic python's huge head. Bang! The small fist contained a terrifying amount of power. It instantly collided with the golden demonic python's ferocious hard head, following which, the enormous golden demon python's body violently shot from the air into the mountain below like a cannonball in front of the stunned, fierce eyes of quite a number of demonic beasts. Immediately, quite a number of miserable roars suddenly resounded. Rumble. Dust filled the air as gravel shot out. The golden demonic python's body was blasted into the mountain's ground. Cracks immediately appeared on the hard mountain surface. Many demonic beasts suffered an unexpected calamity as they were heavily injured by the golden demonic python's body. Seeing that the golden demonic python was actually blasted down with a single punch, the ferocious beasts in the sky were even more shocked. At this moment, the aura on the beautiful green figure's body had already been restrained. It directly filled the air with an aura that was enough to make their souls and blood tremble. Crash! Large pieces of gravel on the mountain trembled as the huge golden demonic python struggled to climb up. When its gaze once again looked at the beautiful green figure not far away, the gaze in its eyes was also filled with fear. Under the aura just now, it clearly felt the existence of a supreme demonic beast's aura. Just that aura alone was enough to make it unable to resist. Du Xiaoqing looked at the golden demonic python. Looking at the huge, dragon-like body of the golden demonic python, she did not put it in her eyes at all. She berated, "Quickly bring us to the silver-winged demonic eagle. Otherwise, I will destroy you." "Okay, I will bring you to see the great commander." The golden demonic python trembled as it nodded. It felt that it could no longer resist these people. It could only let the great commander and the others come out. It just so happened that the great commander was also looking for these people. Swoosh, swoosh. Then, the golden demon python and the demon beasts around it turned around and dashed towards the top of the cliff while trembling faintly. Du Xiaofu and Cheng Shengnan glanced at each other, and then, together with Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, and the little tiger, they also jumped and followed. The cliffs towered into the clouds. The center of the cliffs was misty, and the top was verdant and lush, like a fairyland. Above the precipice was a cliff, but above it was another world. Half of the giant peak appeared in the eyes of Du Xiaofu and the others. At this time, it was gradually evening. The sun was setting in the sky, and a soft mist rose from the cliff. The mountain range was smeared with a layer of soft sunset color. The fiery red sunset fog rendered everything hazy and illusory. Half of the giant peak was covered with lush vegetation. A clear stream flowed from the top of the cliff to the bottom of the rock crevice, and finally flowed into the cliff. At the top of the cliff, there was no lack of flat and spacious land. On both sides of the cliff, there were flying towers inserted into the air. The carved and embroidered sills were all hidden in the verdant green. Roar. On the chaotic demon cliff, the roars of demonic beasts could be heard from the rocks in the forest. After the golden demonic python and many other demonic beasts climbed up the chaotic demon cliff, they shrunk their bodies and landed on a huge square. There were many huge rocks piled up in the surroundings, and the square was vast. What a beautiful place! Eldest Princess Chang'an slowly descended from the sky. Looking down, she could see that on the chaotic demon cliff, the clear stream flowed like jade, and the rocks pierced through the clouds. It was a beautiful scene. Du Xiaofu was also quite surprised. He did not expect that on the chaotic demon cliff, where the demonic beasts were entrenched, there would be such a beautiful scene. Especially within the chaotic demon cliff, there were many majestic buildings. They were all built according to the architecture of the human race. However, compared to the human race's buildings, they were much larger and more magnificent. Follow me. The first commander, second commander, and third commander are already waiting for you in the main hall. The golden demonic python, which had shrunk in size, was still 30 to 40 feet long. Its entire body was covered with yellow scales. It seemed to be wriggling on the ground, but it was actually floating on the ground. Its body immediately slithered and swept into the majestic main hall in front of the square. Roar. On both sides of the main hall, there were many ferocious demonic beasts entrenched. When they saw Du Xiaofu and the others approaching, they growled and hissed. However, these demonic beasts seemed to feel the auras of the little tiger and Du Xiaoqing. They seemed to be suppressed by some kind of force, and they faintly prostrated themselves, not daring to make a sound. Let's go in, Du Xiaofu said to Cheng Xingnan, Du Xiaoqing, and Du Xiaoyao. His toes tapped lightly, and he strode up dozens of steps and entered the main hall. The main hall was magnificent, as if it existed in an epic. The huge main hall was even larger than the Golden Dragon Palace in the Stone Dragon Empire. There were huge stone pillars on both sides of the hall. At this moment, there were many terrifying demonic beasts standing between the stone pillars. Many of them were even demonic beasts on the Earth Beast list. There were no less than 20 demonic beasts at the Beast Lord realm and dozens of spiritual pulse realm demonic beasts. The Raging Flames mountain-splitting bear and the iron-armored demonic vulture that had been severely injured yesterday were probably still recuperating, so Du Xiaofu did not see them in the hall. Although the Raging Flames mountain-splitting bear and the iron-armored demonic vulture's claws and wings had been broken yesterday, with the Raging Flames mountain-splitting bear and the iron-armored demonic vulture's cultivation and strength, they would be fine and could even regrow. In the main hall, dozens of terrifying demonic beasts stood there, looking ferocious and majestic. Just their auras alone were enough to make ordinary people unable to step in. Under the fierce auras, dozens of terrifying demonic beasts stared at them. First Princess Cheng Xingnan couldn't help but change her expression. At the head of the main hall, there were a total of 3 figures sitting upright. On the right was a burly man in red clothes with a red face. His body couldn't be considered majestic, but he looked extremely vigorous. There was a scarlet light flickering in his eyes like a flame. On the left was a burly man in his 30s. His body was majestic, and his eyes emitted cold stars. Sitting upright, he looked like he had strong bones and tendons, as if he was a tiger that could shake a lion. Although the 2 burly men restrained their auras, the pressure they exuded was much stronger than the surrounding demonic beasts. The surrounding demonic beasts were in their beast forms, but these 2 men were in their human forms. There was no doubt that these 2 men had already reached the Beast King realm. Only after reaching the Beast King realm could they completely condense into a human form. Sitting in the middle of the main hall was a young man in his late 20s. He was dressed in white, and he was extraordinarily handsome. The corners of his mouth were slightly hooked, and his deep eyes revealed a domineering and devilish aura. It made his temperament noble, but it was also complicated. His entire person emitted a kind of majestic aura that could shake the world. At this moment, the young man's gaze was fixed on Cheng Xingnan and Du Xiaoqing. His evil and handsome face was filled with an unrestrained evil smile. That smile was as if he had seen his prey. 3 commanders, that's the kid who injured Lai Xiong and Taijia. He even injured me just now. I'm not his opponent. The golden demonic python respectfully said to the 3 of them. At this moment, it was looking at the girl in the green dress from the corner of its eyes. There was fear and dread in its eyes. Human, who are you? The red-clothed and red-faced man on the right of the seat of honor in the hall was currently staring at Du Xiaofu. Within his eyes, there was a scarlet light that seemed to be dancing like flames, and an astonishingly hot aura began to surge. Du Xiaofu looked at the red-clothed and red-faced man. He could faintly sense that this man should be a beast king who had just reached the beast king realm. If he guessed correctly, this man should be one of the 3 beast king realm monsters, the blue flame red panther. He opened his mouth and said, "World Society, Du Xiaofu? I know about the World Society. There's the Medicine King Yi Wuming and the Eagle King Gongblade." The blue flame red panther looked at Du Xiaofu and didn't pay too much attention to him. He then looked at Du Xiaofu and continued, "You were sent by the World Society. Did the Medicine King agree to our conditions?" "No." Du Xiaofu directly shook his head and said to the blue flame red panther, "The Medicine King doesn't intend to agree to your conditions." Humph, a human kid who's still wet behind the ears. He dared to injure the commander of the Chaos Demon Cliff. Now, he even dares to come here without agreeing to our conditions. Third brother, there's no need to talk nonsense with these humans. Just kill them. After that, we'll destroy the World Society. The Medicine King Yi Wuming will have to agree even if he doesn't want to. Hearing this, the man on the left, who looked to be in his 30s, shot a cold glare at Du Xiaofu. A terrifying aura fluctuated. There was no doubt that this person was ready to attack Du Xiaofu and the other 2 at any time. Second brother, why is your temper still so irritable? It's not good for your cultivation. The white-clothed youth sitting at the head of the table stood up. He was extraordinarily handsome, but his eyes were fixed on Du Xiaoqing and Chengsheng. He had a faint, evil smile on his face as he said indifferently, "Leave these 2 women behind. Just break an arm and a leg for the man. Let him go back and tell the Medicine King that if he doesn't agree to our conditions within 3 days, we'll kill everyone in the Chaos Demon Cliff." The white-clothed youth's voice was indifferent and casual. There was a faint chill in it. It was as if everything he said was a matter of course. It was as if what he said should be so. "Then we'll listen to Big Brother. Since you dared to touch the commander of the Chaos Demon Cliff, you'll have to pay the price first." As the white-clothed youth's voice fell, the blue flame red panther immediately stood up and rushed out. There were materialized flames on his red clothes that soared into the sky. Then, the flames danced. In a short moment, his figure had already appeared in front of Du Xiaofu and the others. A terrifying heat suddenly swept through the hall and spread out from his body, causing the surrounding spatial fluctuations to evaporate and become illusory. Just as the blue flame red panther attacked, the dozens of powerful demonic beasts at the Martial Marquee and Pulse Spirit stage in the hall immediately became restless. The aura on the blue flame red panther made them feel fear and dread from the bottom of their hearts. Chapter 504. Oomph! Du Xiaoqing's delicate body leaped out like a ghost as a green aura surged out from her body. She raised her delicate hand, and the green talisman engravings on her palm exploded. Her aura was noble, and her noble aura could intimidate thousands of beasts. Her palm slapped towards the blue flame red leopard. "You are also from the beast clan." The blue flame red leopard was shocked. The green-dressed young lady who suddenly attacked was clearly from the beast clan. He could feel the terrifying demonic beast sovereign aura, causing his bloodline and soul to tremble. That pressure came from the depths of his bloodline and soul. There was no doubt that this young lady's original body was an extremely terrifying existence. She was the most terrifying existence he had encountered in his life so far. All of a sudden, the blazing flames around the pale flame red leopard turned into talisman runes. Finally, they surged out from its body and rapidly turned into countless pale flame scales. In a flash, they covered its body, forming a pale flame barrier that protected it within. At the same time, Du Xiaoqing's green light runic palm landed on the blue flame scales. Bang bang. With a low, muffled sound, the green talisman engravings destroyed the ice armor easily and turned into runes before disappearing. Bang bang. With a low, muffled sound, A powerful and invisible wave spread out from Du Xiaoqing's palm like a ripple in a ring. Under such a powerful force, the blue flame-red leopard scales were directly shattered. Uft! Fresh blood spurted out from the mouth of the ash flame-red leopard. Its body was sent flying, after which it landed heavily on the floor of the main hall. The impact caused the entire huge hall to sway. Cracks spread out on the ground. Roar! At this moment, all the beasts in the hall were trembling and hissing. The invisible demonic beast sovereign aura caused all the demonic beasts to tremble. Pairs of fearful eyes looked towards Du Xiaoqing. At the top of the hall, the white-clothed young man and the burly man beside him were also shocked. On Du Xiaoqing's devastatingly beautiful face, her pure and innocent temperament was cold at this moment. Dazzling azure light overflowed from her body, making her look pure and noble. She stared straight at the young man in white and berated in a delicate voice, "If you dare to look at me with that gaze again, I will tear off your wings and pluck them from your body. Who are you guys?" On the white-clothed young man's handsome face, his eyes were filled with shock. He looked at Du Xiaoqing with fear. The aura from before made him tremble. "We said that we are from the World Society." Du Xiaoqing looked at the white-clothed young man and said, "From now on, if you guys dare to go to the World Society, I will destroy you guys. This girl is really arrogant." Hearing Du Xiaoqing's words, Du Xiaofu and Cheng Xingnan looked at each other. They did not expect this girl to be so arrogant. You are really arrogant. I'm afraid you don't have the ability." Hearing Du Xiaoqing's words, a sneer appeared on the handsome face of the demonic youth in white. His eyes turned sharp. He was the king of the Chaos Demon Cliff, the king of the demonic beasts in the entire Dark Forest. He was also from the Silverwing Demonic Condor clan and had recently broken through to the Beast King realm, the Nirvana realm. How could he be scared by someone's words? "It seems like you want me to tear off your wings." Du Xiaoqing looked at the white-clothed young man with a faint smile on her youthful face. She was like an epiphyllum in the world. She was so beautiful that she could fall into people's hearts. There was a kind of holy beauty in her demonic charm that could make people remember her at first glance. However, looking at Du Xiaoqing, the group of beasts in the hall could not help but tremble. The blue flame-red leopard struggled to get up from the ground. Its scales were covered in blood. Its eyes were filled with fear and did not dare to approach. I want to know where you come from, little girl." The silver-winged demonic condor's eyes were filled with a domineering aura. As a member of the silver-winged demonic condor clan, it was said that the blood of an ancient supreme beast flowed in its body. How could it be so easily intimidated? On the surface of its body, a white light began to spread. At this moment, the silver-winged demonic condor's face was indifferent. Its eyes were awe-inspiring. A terrifying aura spread as it quickly pounced on Du Xiaoqing. Boom! A claw print formed in the silver-winged demonic condor's palm and pressed down on Du Xiaoqing. The claw print spurted out mysterious talisman patterns. Its aura was like raging waves crashing on the shore, capable of collapsing mountains and splitting the earth. Chi-chi. The vast light in the claw print distorted a large area of space. Accompanied by a shocking rumbling sound, it suddenly spread in front of Du Xiaoqing. Eagles, condors, falcons, geese. These demonic beasts were the fastest creatures in the world. It was said that only the rocks and the top beasts in the world could surpass them. The silver-winged demonic condor was an extraordinary existence in the Condor clan. It was one of the top beasts in the Earth Beast list. Its speed was definitely as fast as lightning. The claw print was about to envelop Du Xiaoqing. The silver-winged demonic condor wanted to subdue Du Xiaoqing. The pressure of the claw print was terrifying. The energy impact was monstrous. Instantly, it caused the surrounding space to boil. Like a tide, the waves rushed to the sky and drowned Du Xiaoqing. Its demonic power was terrifying. At this moment, under the silver-winged demonic condor's attack, even Du Xiaofu's heart trembled. The terrifying and fierce pressure spread. If it wasn't for the golden rock technique and rock blood in his body, his chi would have been stagnant and unable to resist. An ordinary martial lord realm cultivator would have no power to resist under such pressure. The silver-winged demonic condor at the Nirvana realm of the Beast King realm was so powerful. Oomph! Du Shaoqing let out a soft snort, accompanied by the release of a dazzling green brilliance. Her pitch-black eyes that were as clear as a stream revealed a strange expression. It was as if something had suddenly exploded. The green light became more intense, and her aura erupted like a tsunami. Boom! With a move of her delicate hand, Du Shaoqing's speed was even more terrifying than the silver-winged demonic condor. A fist print suddenly struck out, as if it could blast open the space and hit the demonic condor. The fist and the claw collided. Suddenly, endless dazzling light flooded the main hall, causing the demonic beasts and Du Xiaofu in the main hall to be unable to open their eyes. Boom! The fist collided with the claw print. The two forces of energy collided. It was as if a thunderclap had exploded in the main hall. Endless runes exploded, causing the entire main hall to shake. There were crushed stones and cracks in the main hall. Roar! Under the spread of the terrifying pressure, all the beasts in the main hall hissed and crawled. This kind of pressure was something that even the ordinary beast kings could not resist. Humph! When the light dissipated, the silver-winged demonic condor's body staggered back. Wherever his feet passed, the ground cracked and turned into dust. His eyes were filled with shock, and a muffled groan came from his throat. It seemed that he had suffered a great loss just now. Du Shaoqing's beautiful figure stood there, and her delicate figure only swayed slightly. Her ink-black hair was smooth like a waterfall, and it extended all the way to her slim waist and perky buttocks. Her hair swayed slightly, and it added a sense of youthful charm. The commander has suffered a loss. The remaining muscular man, who had strong bones and muscles, looked like a tiger that could shake a lion. At this moment, his eyes were filled with shock. The silver-winged demonic condor, who had transformed into a white-clothed young man, stared at Du Shaoqing and the others. His eyes rippled with terrifying runes. Then, he looked at the muscular man beside him and suddenly said to Du Shaoqing, "If you have the ability, come with me. Let's fight outside." Chi. As soon as his voice fell, the white-clothed young man and the muscular man turned into streaks of lightning and rushed out of the main hall. Humph! I must tear off your wings today. Du Shaoqing snorted. Her figure flashed out like a ghost and instantly disappeared from the main hall. Du Xiaofu and Cheng Shengnan looked at each other. Their eyes moved slightly, and they immediately followed behind. When Du Xiaofu, Cheng Shengnan, Du Xiaoyao, and the little tiger arrived at the plaza, Du Shaoqing was already standing in the air. Her legs were long and slender, making her body look enchanting and graceful. However, Du Shaoqing's drop-dead gorgeous face still revealed a kind of immaturity at this moment, and it didn't really match her naturally charming and alluring arc. However, the aura she emitted at this moment was sufficient to make a myriad of beasts tremble violently. The white-clothed young man and the muscular man stood side by side in the air. They looked at Du Shaoqing with fear in their eyes. "You are also a demonic beast. Why are you with those puny humans? Why don't you join us? When the time comes, the entire dark forest will be ours. How about it?" The silver-winged demonic condor looked at Du Shaoqing and asked, "I only want to tear off your wings." Du Shaoqing looked at the silver-winged demonic condor. Her ethereal eyes were cold. She did not take the silver-winged demonic condor too seriously. Since that's the case, then you don't have to leave. I can feel that your bloodline is extraordinary. If you can be with me, maybe we can let our descendants have the best bloodline. That human girl seems to have a dragon aura in her body. She should be from the royal family of the human race. If she gives birth to my descendants, they will definitely be extraordinary." The silver-winged demonic condor sneered. He had extraordinary eyesight. As soon as his voice fell, his white clothes suddenly fluttered. A mighty aura spread out, and then he let out a loud screech towards the sky. Gee. As the screeching sound resounded, a terrifying pressure spread across the sky. Chapter 505. Roar. As the roar resounded across the sky, the roar of countless beasts resounded across the mountain range. The ground trembled and the mountains swayed. Du Xiaofu looked at the sky and narrowed his eyes. Rustling sounds were emitted from the top and bottom of the mountain range as thunderous beast roars resounded. Rumble. Huge demonic beasts appeared on the mountain peak one after another. Huge demonic beasts immediately covered the entire mountain range. Ferocious birds that blotted out the sun flapped their wings and flew out from the towering trees. The towering trees rose and fell as a huge beast tide gathered in a short period of time. Roar, roar. At the same time, dozens of demonic beasts that rushed out of the large hall also roared and transformed into their huge bodies. There was the flaming demon lizard that was covered in scales, the single-horned demon rhinoceros that had thick skin and sharp horns, and the howling sky ice wolf that was ranked among the demonic beast kings. Du Xiaofu's expression turned serious as he looked at the demonic beasts that were densely packed and towering like countless mountains. It was not difficult to detect the aura of the demonic beasts at the Beast King stage. The flaming demon lizard, single-horned demon rhinoceros, howling sky ice wolf were all demonic beasts at the Beast King stage. There were also countless Pulse Spirit stage and Pulse stage demonic beasts gathering on the mountain peak. The ferocious birds in the sky flapped their wings and blotted out the sun. Wave after wave of ferocious pressure descended, causing one's heart to tremble. At this moment, a huge beast tide had formed on the chaotic demon cliff. Even a martial king stage cultivator would have to retreat in the midst of the densely packed beast tide. Not to mention, there were also the blue flame red leopard, subduing tiger tyrannical mastiff, and the silver-winged demonic condor. Humph, this is the Chaos Demon Cliff. I am the king here, the commander-in-chief. None of you can leave today. All of you stay here. A cold smile appeared on the silver-winged demonic condor's handsome face. His aura was overbearing and demonic. After which, he said to the blue flame red leopard and the burly man beside him, "Second brother, third brother, let's work together to deal with this girl. The rest of the beasts can deal with the rest." Roar. Roar. As soon as the silver-winged demonic condor finished speaking, the injured blue flame red leopard roared and transformed into a gigantic blue flame red leopard. Its body was covered with blue flames, and it looked terrifying. At the same time, the runes around the burly man's body flashed, and he instantly transformed into his true form. It was a subduing tiger mastiff that looked like a lion. It was rumored that the subduing tiger mastiff had the bloodline of the ancient tiger tribe and the ancient wolf tribe. Its bloodline was definitely not weak, and was even stronger than the blue flame red leopard. The two gigantic demonic beasts stood tall. Their auras were even more ferocious and terrifying. Roar. Dozens of terrifying demonic beasts surrounded Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, Cheng Shengnan, and the little tiger. The dozens of huge demonic beasts were like dozens of towering mountains, making Du Xiaofu and the first princess Cheng Shengnan look extremely small in comparison. In the sky above the square, there were many ferocious birds flapping their wings and looking down, their eyes sharp and frightening. Roar, roar. On the huge rocks around the square, the demonic beasts from the mountains climbed up and gathered on the huge rocks. All of them looked at Du Xiaofu and the others fiercely. Rumble. Suddenly, a dazzling light gushed out and a gigantic blue-scaled demonic snake swept out. Its whole body was emitting a cold and fishy aura. It spat out a poisonous airwave from its mouth like a burning flame. In an instant, it burst into the sky and enveloped Cheng Shengnan. The first princess Cheng Shengnan was currently surrounded by the terrifying demonic beast tide. Facing the mountain-like demonic beasts, her beautiful face changed color and her eyes lost focus. "Get out of my way!" Du Xiaofu shouted. Golden light burst out from his body, and he rushed to the front of Cheng Shengnan. A dazzling golden rune in his hand destroyed the poisonous airwave. His figure flew out like a rock, spreading its wings, and punched the head of the blue-scaled demonic snake. Bang! The fluctuations of the golden storm were extremely terrifying. Immediately, blood spurted out from the head of the giant blue snake, causing blood to gush out from the head of the giant blue snake, revealing a bloody hole. It suddenly let out a mournful hiss. "Be careful and pay attention to protect yourself," Du Xiaofu said to the first princess Cheng Shengnan beside him. At this time, his face was also slightly serious. The first Princess Changshengnan came back to her senses and looked at Du Xiaofu with an apologetic smile in her eyes. Then, she held the stone dragon Wind and Thunder sword in her hand. Wind and thunder roared, and under the mighty pressure, many of the surrounding demonic beasts that were about to pounce on them were filled with fear. Roar! Almost at the same time, a gigantic demonic bird swooped down. As its huge wings swept out, it brought along 2 whirlpools of wind. Its sharp claws were sharp and frightening, and they enveloped Du Xiaofu and Cheng Shengnan. Qila! This gigantic demonic bird swooped down as if it wanted to tear apart Du Xiaofu and the first Princess Chengsheng. Before its sharp claws, there was a sharp sound of the wind breaking, as if it could distort the space. If one was scratched by these sharp claws, even the top of a mountain would be directly crushed. It was terrifying. Roar! At this time, a soul-shaking tiger roar was heard, and it shook the heaven and earth. An ink-black flowing light rushed out of the sky like lightning, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a gigantic black, flying tiger. Black runes soared into the sky, and the ink-black tiger flapped its wings. The tornado-like spatial airflow swept across the sky, and it was incomparably overbearing. The tiger pounced on its prey, and its speed was much faster than the demonic bird. Roar! The ink-black tiger roared ferociously, and it was like a black thunderbolt. It raised its tiger claws and suddenly waved them. The tiger claws directly tore the demonic bird's body, as if it wanted to tear the sky apart. Along with the overbearing and ferocious fluctuation, the surrounding space was shaken to the point that it was on the verge of collapse. Sizzle! At this moment, the ferocious and ferocious bird was directly swept by the ink-black huge tiger's claw. Cracks began to appear on its enormous body. Its intimidating eyes revealed fear as its enormous body turned into a bloody fog in midair. What a powerful bloodline! The beasts were shocked. Even the silver-winged demonic condor, the pale flame-red leopard, and the subduing tiger mastiff were shocked. The ink-black tiger's body was densely covered in ink-black scales, as if they were cast from the deep night sky. On the ink-black scales, there was a faint golden color that was faintly jumping. The aura from its body was like that of a supreme being from the tiger tribe. Although its cultivation had not reached the beast king realm, the bloodline pressure from it made them tremble, especially the subduing tiger mastiff, who had the bloodline of the ancient tiger tribe in his body. When facing the ink-black tiger, his bloodline and soul were suppressed by the bloodline. The strength of the bloodline was much stronger than his, and it was not much weaker than the bloodline pressure from the young lady in the green dress. It was too terrifying. Is it a supreme being from the tiger tribe? The subduing tiger mastiff was shocked. He could feel that the ink-black tiger had the aura of a supreme being from the tiger tribe, but he could not tell what kind of tiger tribe demonic beast it was. Du Xiaofu looked at the sky, and his expression darkened. His eyes narrowed slightly. Suddenly, his purple robe shook, and the light golden talisman's secret inscriptions surged. In that short moment, a domineering and terrifying aura exploded like a flash flood. A dazzling golden light shot out from Du Xiaofu's body, and within the golden light, there seemed to be a golden-winged rock spreading its wings. The golden talisman's secret inscriptions were dazzling, like a rising sun. Sizzle! In an instant, amidst the dazzling light, the talisman's secret inscriptions arranged themselves and formed a pair of golden talisman's secret inscriptions wings on Du Xiaofu's back. Boom! At that moment, the talisman's secret inscriptions wings on his back flapped, and a domineering aura swept out from Du Xiaofu's body. His body floated in the air, and with a flap of his wings, he was like a rock spreading its wings, soaring to the 9 heavens. This was not a real golden-winged rock, but at that moment, as the golden talisman's secret inscriptions wings flapped, golden light was released, and Du Xiaofu was like a real golden-winged rock descending, bearing the domineering will and pressure of the golden-winged rock tribe. Roar! Under the golden-winged rock's domineering will and oppressive aura, the ferocious birds and ferocious beasts in the surrounding mountain peaks felt such a terrifying aura. All of them hissed and roared, and their bodies prostrated. This aura was something that no beast could resist. Woo-woo! All the beasts, especially, could not resist it. They hissed and fell to the ground, prostrating. How can that human have the aura of us demonic beasts? The blue flame red leopard was shocked. He could feel that the human's aura was definitely that of a demonic beast. What a terrifying aura. Why does it look like a golden-winged roc? That's a supreme existence among demonic beasts. The subduing tiger tyrant beast's eyes were also shocked. He could not recognize the black tiger's origin, but he could feel the origin of the golden-winged roc. This pure bloodline pressure was much more terrifying than the black tigers. Golden-winged roc, could it really be the golden-winged roc tribe? The silver-winged demonic condor was shocked. On his handsome face, his eyes were trembling. To the silver-winged demonic condor tribe, the golden-winged roc tribe was also a supreme existence. The silver-winged demonic condor tribe's bloodline could not compete with it. If the silver-winged demonic condor was the king of the birds, then the golden-winged roc was the supreme overlord of the birds. Roar! The little tiger roared again. The sound waves caused the space to ripple. It was like a huge wave, shaking the sky and earth. The tiger paw stood in the air with clouds forming under its feet. The little tiger flapped its wings, causing a faint golden ripple to rise and fall like a vast tsunami. It was incomparably domineering, causing half of the forest on the giant peak below to collapse and gravel to roll down. It was a terrifying scene. At this moment, under the pressure of the little tiger, the blood and souls of the surrounding demonic beasts trembled. It was roaring in the face of the supreme demonic beasts. The little tiger stood in the sky, looking covetously. Its aura was rolling, and its voice was like thunder. It could move mountains and rivers and suppress tens of thousands of demonic beasts. After the little tiger evolved, it had the power of the dark sky tiger. The azure dragon, white tiger, phoenix, black tortoise, and other top 10 demonic beasts on the heavenly beast list were all supreme existences. The dark sky tiger was not inferior to the white tiger. That kind of aura was not something the other demonic beasts could resist. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's golden-winged roc aura swept out. The aura of the little tiger, the dark sky tiger, and the golden-winged roc mixed and spread out. Under such mighty pressure, the surrounding demonic beasts had already begun to gradually crawl on the ground. Under such pressure, they did not dare to resist at all. Chirp, chirp, the silver-winged demonic condor roared, urging the other demonic beasts to control the demonic beasts. However, no matter how the silver-winged demonic condor roared, the surrounding demonic beasts crawled on the ground. They did not dare to move at all. Only the thunderous roars resounded on the Chaos Demon Cliff. Chapter 506. The silver-winged demonic condor's expression turned grave. The huge black tiger and the strange human with the aura of the golden-winged great roc had completely suppressed the beast horde with their terrifying bloodline pressure. The bloodline pressure was much stronger than the silver-winged demonic condors. Even though his cultivation was much higher, he was powerless now, especially the human with the aura of the golden-winged great roc. He could feel that if he could obtain that human, it would definitely be greatly beneficial to him. As a flying demonic beast, the golden-winged great roc was a supreme overlord. Even the slightest benefit would be greatly beneficial to him. You've angered me. I'll tear you apart today. At this moment, Du Xiaoqing's voice rang out. Her long eyelashes trembled slightly as she stared at the silver-winged demonic condor. Her hair fluttered behind her back as a green light flashed in her eyes. She pounced towards the silver-winged demonic condor. Boom! Clenching her delicate hand into a fist, the green runes around Du Xiaoqing's body burst forth like a green volcano erupting. Dazzling green light burst forth, boundless and boundless. She suddenly appeared in front of the silver-winged demonic condor. On the silver-winged demonic condor's extraordinarily handsome face, a domineering demonic aura flashed across his eyes as a bright light surged out. Without the slightest pause, his figure flashed strangely. Relying on the terrifying speed of the silver-winged demonic condor, he actually narrowly avoided Du Xiaoqing's punch. Chi. However, all of this did not seem to have much effect on Du Xiaoqing. Green light bloomed as her body floated in the air, curving gracefully. She unbelievably turned her fist around, drawing a graceful green arc on the chaos demon cliff under the setting sun. Once again, she appeared in front of the silver-winged demonic condor. A terrifying aura was tightly locked onto the silver-winged demonic condor. The silver-winged demonic condor was stunned, as if he did not expect Du Shaoqing to be stronger than he had imagined. He gathered his strength and immediately punched towards Du Shaoqing. Boom! The low muffled sound was like thunder. The dazzling symbols blossomed in the sky like fireworks, and the energy wind engulfed the vast sky like a storm. Puchi. Within the storm of strength chi, the silver-winged demon condor spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Roar. At the same time, the gigantic blue flame red leopard and subduing tiger mastiff in the air saw that the situation was not good and also attacked Du Shaoqing. Chila. The subduing tiger mastiff was the first to arrive. Its aura seemed to be able to subdue a tiger and subdue a dragon. A terrifying aura burst forth as it opened its bloody mouth, revealing its sharp teeth that were like Dao artifacts. A terrifying light burst forth as it instantly pounced beside Du Shaoqing. Oomph! Du Shaoqing scoffed. At this moment, her devastatingly beautiful face was filled with anger. She completely ignored the subduing tiger mastiff's attack. A graceful arc streaked across the air, and after a few strange flashes, she actually appeared in front of the subduing tiger mastiff's bloody mouth. A dazzling green rune surged out of her slender hand, and like a green thunderbolt, it directly collided with the subduing tiger mastiff's terrifying sharp teeth. Chilala! A few of the subduing tiger mastiff's teeth were instantly broken. Its mouth was dripping with blood, and those terrifying sharp teeth that were like Dao artifacts were forcefully exploded by Du Shaoqing. As fresh blood spurted out, its gigantic body also fell to the ground. Roar! The blue flame red leopard's gigantic body finally pounced forward. It stretched out its claws and was about to crush Du Shaoqing's back. Eowo! Suddenly, roar that sounded like the roar of a dragon and the cry of a divine elephant resounded beside the blue flame red leopard. A domineering aura caused the space to tremble violently. Its aura was overbearing and unparalleled, causing the heart of the blue flame red leopard to tremble in an instant. Then, an unparalleled fist print, accompanied by an explosion of golden light, ruthlessly landed on the already injured blue flame red leopard. As the fist landed, there seemed to be the sound of wind and thunder mixed together. A thunderous energy sound suddenly resounded on the chaos demon cliff. Boom! Terrifying energy ripples suddenly swept out like stormy waves, causing the space to tremble. The blue flame red leopard's gigantic body was directly sent flying in mid-air. Chi! Almost at the same time, a gigantic crystal-clear ape suddenly appeared in front of the blue flame red leopard that was sent flying. Eat old Du's fist too. The golden ape's eyes were intelligent. It was born with spiritual eyes that overlooked everything in the world. It was like a terrifying lord had been born. A dazzling golden light exploded like the sun. A terrifying aura erupted as it suddenly threw a punch. This punch seemed to be able to push in all directions and suppress everything. It caused the thousands of beasts below to tremble for no reason. There was an inexplicable pressure in that terrifying power, as though it wanted to burst the souls of all living creatures. Boom! The punch landed directly on the blue flame red leopard's body. A low muffled sound resounded in the sky as the blue flame red leopard's shrunk pupil shrunk. The sound wave was sonorous and ear-splitting. Runes and energy spread in all directions, following which, the blue flame red leopard's gigantic body fell to the edge of the square below with blood dripping from its mouth and the scales on its body cracking. Rumble. Many huge rocks shot out from the pressure. The ground cracked and turned into dust. The blue flame red leopard was in a terrible state. The golden ape was naturally transformed from Little Demon Du without a doubt. During this period of time, Little Demon Du's strength had once again improved by quite a bit. After beating the dog that was down, she joined hands with Du Xiaofu. The unlucky one was naturally the pitiful blue flame red leopard. Gee, all of this happened in the short span of 2 to 3 breaths. As the subduing tiger mastiff and the blue flame red leopard were injured, the silver-winged demonic condor finally could not help but transform into its gigantic body. A gigantic silver-winged demonic condor with silver-white jade-like wings and a grayish-white body appeared in the sky above the Chaos Demon Cliff. Under the illumination of the sunset, the gigantic silver-winged demonic condor's body was suffused with an illusory luster. It was shrouded in an ancient light, and its aura was extremely terrifying. It had a domineering and dominant aura. Its eyes were intimidating as it looked disdainfully at the sky. Is this the true body of the silver-winged demonic condor? At this moment, under such an aura, Du Xiaofu, who was in midair, could not help but exclaim. The silver-winged demonic condor of the martial king Nirvana realm was truly terrifying. Compared to the terrifying aura of the blue flame-red leopard and the subduing tiger mastiff, it was many times stronger. Qi. Seeing the silver-winged demonic condor transform into its true body, Du Xiaoyao's ethereal green eyes flashed with splendor. It was as if something was awakening. Then, her graceful body did not retreat. Instead, she charged towards the silver-winged demonic condor. Seeing Du Xiaoqing charging towards it, the silver-winged demonic condor's eyes were extremely ugly. Its domineering aura surged and the demonic runes on its body surged. It released all of its power and roared furiously, "You have also angered me." Chi-la-la, as the sharp roar fell, the silver-winged demonic condor flapped its silver-white wings. Not only did a monstrous demonic aura burst out, but there was also a storm that swept towards Du Xiaoqing in an extremely terrifying manner. It wanted to suppress and kill Du Xiaoqing. Du Xiaoqing's graceful body was like duckweed in the storm-like power of the silver-winged demonic condor. It was unpredictable like a ghost. One was hard and one was soft. Suddenly, they engaged in a fierce battle. The sun was setting in the west, and the red clouds were in the sky. On the Chaos Demon Cliff, roars and screams shook the sky. Du Xiaoqing and the silver-winged demonic condor were fighting. The surrounding beasts were completely unable to interfere. They could only watch the terrifying battle in midair. Rumble. The silver-winged demonic condor's attack was domineering and fierce. The demonic condor overflowed and shook the sky. Du Xiaoqing made her move. Her graceful body was wrapped in green light. No matter how domineering and fierce the silver-winged demonic condor's attack was, it could not do anything to that graceful body at this moment. The speed of this battle was also as fast as lightning. Especially Du Xiaoqing's delicate body at this moment. Under the silver-winged demonic condor's huge body, she seemed extremely small. Hence, people could only see the afterimage. Those with low strength could not see the battle at that speed clearly at all. Bang, bang, bang. However, there were continuous explosions in midair. Many huge rocks below were occasionally affected and instantly cracked. Some turned into gravel and powder. Strong, definitely very strong. Du Xiaofu was shocked. The silver-winged demonic condor was indeed not ordinary. With the cultivation of the Beast King realm at the Nirvana realm, this kind of strength was enough to make a Martial King realm complete cultivation retreat. Little Qing is actually so strong. At this moment, the first Princess Cheng Xingnan was shocked by Du Xiaoqing. Cheng Xingnan knew that Du Xiaoqing was very strong, but he did not expect Du Xiaoqing to be so strong. The power released from that small and graceful body could completely contend with that terrifying silver-winged demonic condor and even gain the upper hand. Bang, bang, bang. There were continuous low-energy sounds. Du Xiaoqing's delicate body shuttled through the silver-winged demonic condor's violent attacks. No matter how domineering and violent the silver-winged demonic condor's attacks were, they were all dodged by that graceful body. She even took the opportunity to continuously land palm and fist prints on the silver-winged demonic condor's silver-white wings and grayish-white body. Walala! Finally, the huge silver-winged demonic condor's body had feathers flying off under Du Xiaoqing's bombardment. The huge body was constantly being suppressed and blasted back by Du Xiaoqing's delicate body. The power that erupted from that graceful body made the silver-winged demonic condor, who was using all his strength, unable to resist anymore. Screech! Screech! The silver-winged demonic condor screeched. After being continuously suppressed by Du Shaoqing, it became more and more irritable. Its eyes flickered with light, and it did not explode. A terrifying aura swept out. However, it seemed to be completely useless against Du Shaoqing. It was still bombarded by Du Shaoqing. Qi. Even when the silver-winged demonic condor was in a rage, Du Shaoqing found the best opportunity. She waved her hand, and a green light spread out. A terrifying and shocking energy fluctuation accompanied by a shocking aura spread out. That kind of aura was definitely not much weaker than the golden-winged rock's aura. Qi, 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 qi. In a short period of time, dazzling, mysterious runes erupted from the green light. They were like countless threads of energy. In the end, they formed a moving green wing in Du Shaoqing's delicate hand. Chapter 507. Mist spread over the wings. The wings were perfectly curved, as agile as the wings of a phoenix and as domineering as the wings of a golden-winged rock. Countless dazzling green lights shot out. A huge wave of energy rushed out from the wings, causing the entire sky to tremble violently. Finally, it landed on the left wing of the silver-winged demonic eagle. Swish! Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, the silver-winged demonic eagle was slapped down by Du Shaoqing. The feathers on its left wing immediately fell off and blood dripped. The body of the silver-winged demonic condor, which was hundreds of feet in size, fell to the left under the impact of the terrifying force. Its right wing was unable to stop its fall, and instead, it caused its huge body to spin a few rounds in the air like a whirlpool before it finally crashed into the mountain. Rumble! The huge body of the silver-winged demonic condor fell like a meteor, causing the entire chaotic demon cliff to tremble. Gravel shot out, towering trees were broken, and the ground cracked. Rumbling sounds rang out continuously, and the ground shook. In the air, Du Shaoqing's body was shrouded in green mist. Her black hair fluttered in the wind as her slender legs fell. Her seductive and graceful figure fell like lightning and landed on the back of the silver-winged demonic eagle that had just crashed to the ground. Swish! The silver-winged demonic eagle panicked, trying to resist Du Shaoqing. Its terrifying aura caused people to tremble violently. It screeched and roared as the light covered the entire chaos demon cliff. However, the silver-winged demonic eagle could no longer resist Du Shaoqing. Her graceful body landed, and she grabbed the grayish-white feathers of the silver-winged demonic eagle with one hand. She clenched her other hand into a fist and punched the silver-winged demonic eagle's huge back. Bang! 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 When the fists landed, the energy rippled like water. The sound waves were terrifying and the power was terrifying. It emitted a dazzling green light, causing the mountain to crumble and the ground to crack. Swish! 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 Under Du Shaoqing's violent attacks, the silver-winged demonic eagle kept spurting blood from its mouth. Its aura became weaker and weaker, and it was completely crushed by Du Shaoqing on the mountain. GG. No matter how hard the silver-winged demonic condor struggled, under the suppression of Du Shaoqing, it was unable to shake Du Shaoqing's beautiful body. Especially now, under the suppression of Du Shaoqing's aura, which was not much inferior to the golden-winged great peng bird, the silver-winged demonic condor found it even harder to resist. Bang bang bang! Under Du Shaoqing's brutal beating, the domineering silver-winged demonic condor became pitiful. Its back was badly mutilated, dripping with blood, and it constantly let out miserable howls. At this moment, the subduing tiger mastiff and the blue flame-red leopard were watching from afar. However, they could not help and did not dare to approach Du Shaoqing. I said, "I'm going to tear off your wings," Du Shaoqing shouted, moving her delicate body to the left wing of the silver-winged demonic condor that was already injured. She continued to bombard it with her fists, waving her hands to tear apart the feathers. GG. In an instant, the left wing of the silver-winged demon condor was dripping with blood. Its flesh was badly mutilated, and it was a tragic sight. Goo goo. Seeing Du Shaoqing's ferocious side, Du Xiaoyao's red-bone horse monkey body swallowed his saliva. This girl is actually so fierce. Du Xiaofu was not any less shocked than Du Xiaoyao. It was also the first time he saw Du Shaoqing being so fierce. Gigi, the silver-winged demonic condor, let out a miserable shriek, and its wails continued to resound, causing the tens of thousands of beasts in the Chaos Demon Cliff to tremble in fear. "Stop fighting. I surrender. I surrender. I won't deal with the world society anymore." Finally, the silver-winged demonic condor, whose aura was weak and almost on the verge of death, could no longer be domineering and begged Du Shaoqing for mercy. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. "It's too late to surrender now. You made me angry. Today, I must tear off your wings." Du Shaoqing did not have the slightest intention of letting the silver-winged demonic condor go. She continued to beat the silver-winged demonic condor, determined to tear off its wings. The pitiful silver-winged demonic condor was on the verge of death, screaming and wailing. "Little Qing, stop for now. I want to say a few words to him." Du Xiaofu's figure was dripping with blood at this time. His skin and flesh were lacerated, and he landed in front of the dying silver-winged demonic condor. The golden rune wings on his back disappeared, and his eyes regained their clarity. Hearing this, Du Shaoqing stopped beating the silver-winged demonic condor, but she still suppressed the silver-winged demonic condor's back, making it unable to move at all. "Silver-winged demonic condor, how about you surrender to the world society?" Du Xiaofu looked at the bloody silver-winged demonic condor and asked. "In your dreams." The silver-winged demonic condor shouted dispiritedly. How could he surrender so easily? He was a silver-winged demonic condor, a beast king at the Nirvana realm. How could he surrender to a human force, to a small world society? He was planning to flatten the Chaos Demon City in the next few days. "Little Qing, then let's kill this big bird. We can barbecue it later. It should taste good." Hearing the silver-winged demonic condor's words, Du Xiaofu suddenly turned and left, not even looking at the silver-winged demonic condor. "Okay, let's continue to eat barbecue later. The bear paws and bird wings last night were really delicious. I want to eat more wings." Hearing this, Du Shaoqing thought of the taste of the barbecue last night, and her saliva instantly overflowed. She waved her hands like rain, and once again, she landed on the silver-winged demonic condor's huge back. The silver-winged demonic condor kept howling in pain, looking extremely miserable. Hearing this, the poor silver-winged demonic condor's eyes were filled with fear. Thinking of the broken paws and wings of the blazing mountain-splitting bear and the iron-armored demonic condor yesterday, it seemed like they were really barbecued and eaten by these guys. He felt a chill down his spine. It seemed like these guys were definitely not joking. What the silver-winged demonic condor didn't expect was that the purple-robed young man wanted him to surrender, but he only asked once and then left without looking back. This made him lose his last shred of self-control. "Stop hitting me. I surrender. I really surrender." The silver-winged demonic condor was finally scared. He completely felt fear. These guys looked young, but they were all malefic. They definitely wouldn't hesitate to kill him. Under the absolute fear of death, he was also afraid. Du Xiaofu turned back and looked at the mountain-like silver-winged demonic condor in front of him. His eyes signaled Du Shaoqing to stop again and said, "I want you to surrender, not you. I can surrender, but I won't surrender to the world society. I will only surrender to you. Otherwise, even if you kill me, I will never surrender to the world society." The silver-winged demonic condor was just Du Xiaofu. Although he surrendered on his last breath, his eyes were still filled with arrogance. This was the arrogance of the silver-winged demonic condor clan. It came from the bloodline and soul. This kind of arrogance was something he was willing to protect with his life. The world society was a human force. He was a silver-winged demonic condor clan, so he definitely couldn't surrender to the world society. For the silver-winged demonic condor, these people in front of him were all monsters. Even the purple-robed young man in front of him looked like a human, but he had the aura of the golden-winged roc. The bloodline of the black tiger and the girl in green dress were also much higher than his. So even if he surrendered, the silver-winged demonic condor wouldn't feel too shameful. Subservience of the bloodline was the unchanging law of the demonic beasts. "All right, no problem." Du Xiaofu nodded. A smile appeared on his face. There wasn't much difference between surrendering to the world society and surrendering to Shao Qing and himself. Humph, at least you know what's good for you. But I won't be able to eat your wings. Du Shaoqing glared at the silver-winged demonic condor and then looked at the subduing tiger mastiff and the gray flame scarlet leopard. She then shouted, "What about you two? Are you going to surrender, or are you going to be roasted?" The gray flame scarlet leopard and the subduing tiger mastiff looked at each other. At this moment, the silver-winged demonic condor had already surrendered. What else could they do? "We're willing to surrender." The subduing tiger mastiff and the gray flame scarlet leopard prostrated themselves on the ground. They had no other choice. They didn't want to be roasted. Roar. At the same time, on the Chaos Demon Cliff, thousands of monsters were roaring and prostrating themselves on the ground. The three commanders had already surrendered. The remaining monsters couldn't resist at all. At dusk, the sun had completely set. Thick clouds covered the sky, and the setting sun could only take advantage of a small gap to shoot out rays of crimson light, rolling in golden waves in the sky. Eldest Princess Chengshengnan stood on the square in shock. The curtains of a great battle had been drawn. The gray flamed scarlet leopard, the subduing tiger mastiff, and the silver-winged demonic condor had surrendered. This result was beyond Eldest Princess Chengshengnan's imagination. Looking at the purple-robed young man and the green-robed young lady at the foot of the mountain, Chengshengnan was shocked. The unknown world society was going to be his. With Du Shaoqing around, the world society was already terrifying enough. Moreover, there was also the Medicine King Yi Wuming and the Eagle King Gongblade. Although the gray flame scarlet leopard, the subduing tiger mastiff, and the silver-winged demonic condor hadn't joined the world society, it was no different from joining the world society. There was also the monster army at the Chaos Demon Cliff. The power of the world society had definitely reached a terrifying level. From a certain perspective, the current world society was enough to become the #1 power in the Dark Forest. It was even enough to contend with an empire. The setting sun also lost its last trace of afterglow. The sky and earth darkened. The twilight was like a large gray net, quietly spreading down and enveloping the entire land. Night fell. The blue sky was dotted with stars. A round moon hung high in the sky. At this moment, in the huge and majestic building on the Chaos Demon Cliff, Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaoqing, Chengshengnan, and the little tiger were still in a state of excitement. There are so many spiritual herbs. This is enough to fill our stomachs. In a huge stone room, there were mysterious patterns of multicolored light. The fragrance of herbs assailed their nostrils. The energy ripples made people's hearts tremble. There were piles of spiritual herbs everywhere. There were also 7 or 8 spiritual weapons. Du Xiaofu even found many Qingquan bags among them. 2 updates in a row. Looking for fresh flowers and recommendations. Working hard to adjust the update time. Chapter 508. Du Xiaoyao stuffed a stalk of spirit medicine into her mouth and picked up a longsword spirit weapon. However, Du Xiaofu immediately snatched it away and said, "You wastrel. I still have use for the spirit weapon. Keep it for me." Pity. Du Xiaoyao glared at Du Xiaofu angrily and then continued to swallow the spirit medicine. Du Xiaofu kept all the spirit weapons into his Qingquan bag, afraid that Du Xiaoyao would ruin all the spirit medicine. Many of the spirit medicine had the effect of increasing mental energy. Du Xiaofu was thinking about his big brother, Jin Qingchun. He couldn't let Du Xiaoyao gobble them all up. These spirit medicine were all collected from the Chaos Demon Cliff. The spirit weapons were left behind by the humans we killed. In the stone room, only the subduing tiger and tyrannical mastiff with the lightest injuries were with them. The silver-winged demon condor and the blue flame-red leopard, who were riddled with wounds, flesh and blood flying in all directions, stood at the very back at this moment. They looked at Du Shaoqing with fear in their eyes. Du Xiaofu collected the large pile of spirit medicine without hesitation. He didn't expect to have such a harvest from the Chaos Demon Cliff. Many of the spirit medicine were used to concoct high-grade pills. Their high grade and preciousness made Du Xiaofu's heart tremble. Du Xiaofu recognized a few of the spirit medicine as the ingredients needed to concoct the Emperor Beast pill. They were extremely expensive and were even priceless. I'll take the ingredients for the Emperor Beast pill first. If there's a chance, I'll ask the Medicine King to help you concoct an Emperor Beast pill. Du Xiaofu didn't forget to comfort the silver-winged demonic condor when he collected the spirit medicine, spirit weapons, and Chinquin bag. After all, in order to make the silver-winged demonic condor sincerely surrender, he had to show both kindness and power. However, Du Xiaofu was more at ease with the demonic beast's surrender than with humans. Generally speaking, demonic beasts were much more trustworthy than humans. Among the demonic beasts, treachery and betrayal were rare. The higher the demonic beast, the more arrogant a demonic beast was. Once they surrendered, they wouldn't betray. The silver-winged demonic condor's heart ached when he saw Du Xiaofu took the spirit medicine. The silver-winged demonic condor's heart ached, but there was nothing he could. However, the silver-winged devil condor was very curious. He had placed these spirit medicines and some of the things he had obtained over the years in the secret room. How did Du Xiaofu and the others find out? Inside of the up in the main hall, Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, Little Tiger, the silver-winged demonic condor, the subduing tiger mastiff, the blue flame red leopard, and a few demonic beast kings of the extreme beast lord realm and the nirvana realm were present. The golden demonic python that Du Xiaoqing had trampled on in the afternoon was also present. But at this moment, it was looking at Du Xiaoqing with its scarlet eyes, full of reverence. However, the eldest princess Chengshengnan was nowhere to be seen. She was not in the main hall. Silver condor, domineering mastiff, blue leopard. I plan to establish a heavenly beast hall. The three of you will be the commanders of the heavenly beast hall. What do you think? Du Xiaofu, who was sitting at the head of the hall, asked the three of them. There were many demonic beasts in the Chaos Demon Cliff. The silver-winged demonic condor, the subduing tiger mastiff, and the blue flame red leopard didn't want to join the world society. This gave Du Xiaofu a headache. He couldn't possibly be the king of the Chaos Demon Cliff. After thinking about it, Du Xiaofu thought of establishing a heavenly beast hall. If he could subdue some other demonic beast experts in the future, he would have a place to stay. After all, it wouldn't be easy to get demonic beasts to join the world society. Brother, I want to join the heavenly beast hall too. If you become the hall master of the heavenly beast hall, I will be the deputy hall master. Du Xiaoqing pouted and looked at Du Xiaofu. She was interested in this matter too. All right, you will be the deputy hall master of the heavenly beast hall, Du Xiaofu said with a smile. Greetings, hall master and deputy hall master. The silver-winged demonic condor, the subduing tiger mastiff, and the blue flame red leopard looked at each other. Since they had already surrendered, there was naturally no reason for them to object. They immediately stood up and bowed respectfully. Greetings, hall master and deputy hall master. In the main hall, the golden demonic python and the other demonic beasts also bowed respectfully. Du Xiaofu smiled. He didn't expect that this trip to the Chaos Demon Cliff would have such a harvest. His original goal was to negotiate with the silver-winged demonic condor and the others. He didn't expect that he would be able to subdue the silver-winged demonic condor, the subduing tiger mastiff, and the blue flame red leopard, these three demonic beasts. By subduing the demonic beasts on the Chaos Demon Cliff, especially the silver-winged demonic condor, the subduing tiger mastiff, and the blue flame red leopard, Du Xiaofu knew in his heart that he had gained a huge support. With the addition of the World Society, he could be considered to have a real power in the Dark Forest. In the main hall, Du Xiaofu discussed with the silver-winged demonic condor, the subduing tiger mastiff, and the others. The Heavenly Beast Hall would have the Hall Master, Deputy Hall Master, Commander, Elder, Protector, and other positions. There was a detailed hierarchy system on the Chaos Demon Cliff. Du Xiaofu also handed everything over to the silver-winged demonic condor, the subduing tiger mastiff, and the blue flame red leopard. Silver Condor, since you have surrendered and are now the commander of the Heavenly Beast Hall, you are one of us. Take this and heal your injuries for the time being. After everything was explained, Du Xiaofu took out a jade bottle and threw it directly to the silver-winged demonic condor. A terrifying energy fluctuation passed through the jade bottle, and at this moment, It seemed to be gushing out. A domineering and fierce pressure wanted to break out of the bottle. The silver-winged demon condor's heart suddenly trembled. He subconsciously tightened his grip on the jade bottle as his entire body trembled. The pressure that spread out from the jade bottle caused his eyes to ripple violently, as though he had obtained a precious treasure. The night was not pitch black. Instead, it was filled with a kind of inky blue. The blue sky flickered with the fluctuations of the stars. The moonlight was like a stream, enveloping the cliffs. The towering trees cast mottled traces under the moonlight. The night was as cool as water, gently sprinkling down. On the rock, the first Princess Chengshengnan stood quietly. In the night, her eyes were like the stars, deep and moving. Her slender and graceful figure stood in the moonlight. The curve was alluring, like a blue orchid in the darkness. Du Xiaofu's figure landed behind the first Princess Chengshengnan. He took a few steps forward and quietly stood beside her graceful figure. He looked at the bright moon in the sky without saying a word. "Are you done?" Chengshengnan turned her head, her red lips slightly parted, a faint smile on her lips.
Yes.
Du Xiaofu nodded gently. The matters on the Chaos Demon Cliff were almost settled. The silver-winged demonic condor and the others had already surrendered, so there shouldn't be any big problems. I'm also planning to go back. Looking at Du Xiaofu, Chengshengnan's bright eyes moved slightly. She waved her hair, and her red lips slightly opened. Occasionally, a gust of night wind blew past, ruffling her hair and spreading a faint fragrance. Go back to the palace? Looking at the face in front of him, Du Xiaofu suddenly felt a little reluctant. He had never felt this way before. After going back to the palace, I should be going back to the Divine Light Court. After a period of time, it will be an important day for the disciples of the Divine Light Court. Maybe I can get some opportunities, Chengshengnan said to Du Xiaofu. When will you be back? Du Xiaofu asked. I still don't know if you'll miss me. Chengshengnan's lips curled into a beautiful smile. Yes, I will. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. Although he did not like the Divine Light Court, the first princess was a disciple of the Divine Light Court, so there was nothing he could do. Anyway, he should not have too many disputes with the Divine Light Court. Hearing this, the first Princess Chengshengnan's beautiful face bloomed with a bright smile. Looking at that moving smile, Du Xiaofu's heart trembled. At this moment, their eyes met, and both of them looked into each other's eyes. The atmosphere was already faintly different, as if something was rising in their hearts. Suddenly, the first princess raised her head, tiptoed slightly, and lightly kissed his resolute face with her red lips. Then, she lowered her head and lowered her eyes. Her beautiful face was crimson. When I'm not here, you have to behave. Otherwise, when I come back, I won't let you off. Before the first princess's voice faded, suddenly, a familiar breath assailed her nose. A pair of fiery eyes met, and then she felt her red lips firmly pressed against his. Although she had already experienced it last time, the first Princess Chengshengnan was still a little flustered by this unexpected love. But soon, she was intoxicated by this feeling. The thick and smooth fragrance rubbed between their tongues, causing the first Princess Chengshengnan's mind to go blank. She unconsciously closed her eyes, but instinctively wanted to hug the purple-robed young man in front of her. Her face was red and her heart was beating fast. Her consciousness was blurred, and she could only feel the gentle night breeze blowing by, mixed with the warm breath of his body, causing her to gradually sink into it. Her whole body was numb, and she reflexively kissed him back passionately. The next morning, everything was quiet. At the bottom of the demon cliff, a soft mist rose from the abyss and hovered in midair. The first rays of the morning sun shone into the sky, rendering everything hazy and illusory. On the square of the demon cliff, Du Xiaofu's eyes rippled as he watched the orange-red figure gradually disappear into the sky. Du Xiaoqing gently pulled her brother's arm and said, Brother, has Sister Shengning gone back? She's gone back. Let's also prepare to return to the demon cliff. Du Xiaofu said softly. The matters at the demon cliff were almost settled. If they didn't go back, the Medicine King and the Eagle King would be worried. Demon Cliff, World Society. In the side hall of the continuous pavilions, The Eagle King Gong Dao looked worried. They haven't returned yet. Could something have happened? The silver-winged demonic eagle is not to be trifled with. The silver-winged demonic eagle is not to be trifled with, but they should be able to protect themselves. Let's wait and see. The Medicine King said softly, but his face was slightly solemn. He knew very well how terrifying the silver-winged demonic eagle was. They are too bold. They actually dared to barge into the demon cliff. If we had known, we would have gone with them. The Eagle King Gong Dao was a little regretful. If he had known, he would have gone with the Medicine King. Chapter 509. Although he had been forced to join the world meet in the beginning, the Eagle King Gongblade had gradually integrated into the world meet during this period of time. Especially during this period of time, he had seen hope and anticipation in the world meet. I think we don't have to worry anymore. They've already returned. Just as Eagle King Gong Dao finished speaking, the Medicine King revealed a slight smile. The worry in his eyes also gradually dissipated. They're back? Eagle King Gong Dao raised his eyebrows. He still hadn't sensed Du Xiaofu's aura in the vicinity. However, it wasn't strange. In terms of mental strength, the Medicine King was naturally stronger than him. Old Yao, Eagle King, why are you all here? A moment later, Du Xiaofu walked into the side hall alone with a smile on his face. Then, he sat down on the chair. How was it? Did anything happen? The Medicine King sized up Du Xiaofu. He didn't seem to have fought a big battle. He seemed to be a little puzzled. Don't tell me you didn't go to the Chaos Demon Cliff? Or did you not encounter the silver-winged demonic eagle? Eagle King looked at Du Xiaofu with suspicion when he saw that Du Xiaofu was unscathed. If he encountered the silver-winged demonic eagle, it was impossible for him to not fight it. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly when he heard this. Then, he roughly explained what happened at the Chaos Demon Cliff to the Medicine King and Eagle King Gong Dao. When the Medicine King and Eagle King Gong Dao found out that the entire Chaos Demon Cliff had become a heavenly beast hall in just one day's time, not only had all the beasts surrendered, but even the silver-winged demonic eagle, blue flame scarlet leopard, and subduing tiger mastiff had surrendered. This left the Medicine King and Eagle King Gong Dao dumbfounded. They looked at Du Xiaofu as if he was a ghost. After a long while, the Medicine King and Eagle King Gong Dao came back to their senses. They naturally knew what it meant for the world meet that the Chaos Demon Cliff had become the Heavenly Beast Hall. Du Xiaofu chatted with the King of Medicine, Eagle King, and Gong Dao for a while and asked about their recent plans. The threat of the Chaos Demon Cliff had been removed from the World Assembly, but the threat of the one pavilion, one castle, and two sects still existed. After pondering for a while, Du Xiaofu decided to observe the situation of the four major powers for now. One pavilion, one fort, and two sections. If the four major powers want to deal with us, they should have some reservations. However, it will be difficult for us to deal with one pavilion, one fort, and two sections. It is best not to act rashly. Yao Wang said to Du Xiaofu, "Are you worried about the ban?" When Eagle King Gong Dao heard this, his single eye narrowed slightly, as if he had thought of something he was afraid of from the Medicine King's words. Looking at the Medicine King, Eagle King, and Gong Dao's expressions, Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes and asked, "Prohibition? What prohibition?" "Grandma Silver Flower." The Medicine King looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "Grandma Silver Flower's ban forbids the major factions from massacring each other in the Dark Forest. This ban has been rumored for a long time, but the major factions have been abiding by it. Otherwise, the one pavilion, one castle, and two sects wouldn't have been able to maintain the balance for so long. They would have swallowed each other up long ago, especially when Grandma Silver Flower appeared not long ago." Grandma Silver Flower. Du Xiaofu's eyes narrowed. Not long ago, he had received an opportunity from his master, the revered equipment master, and it was a gift from Grandma Silver Flower. Last time, when you were taken away by Grandma Silver Flower, did you see her? The Medicine King asked Du Xiaofu. When Grandma Silver Flower appeared last time, he was also beside him. "I didn't see her clearly." Du Xiaofu shook his head. All he saw was an old voice. The voice was old and gentle, and he didn't see her face. He then asked the Medicine King, Eagle King, and Gong Dao, Why did Grandma Silverflower forbid massacring each other in the dark forest? The dark forest has always been coveted by many empires. If massacring each other in the dark forest, I'm afraid that many experts will fall. This is not good for the dark forest. Grandma Silverflower has always been protecting the dark forest. This is probably the reason why she made such a ban. The Medicine King guessed. The three of them chatted for a while before dispersing. Originally, Du Xiaofu wanted to make a trip back to the college. However, he wanted to help his brother, Zhen Qingchun, concoct some elixirs to recover the primordial spirit. Such elixirs were hard to find. Therefore, it would be faster for him to concoct them himself. Therefore, he asked the Medicine King to help him concoct a few. As for the elixirs needed to concoct the elixirs, he had obtained many of them from the Chaos Demon Cliff. In addition, Du Xiaofu had also been collecting elixirs during this period of time. Therefore, he didn't lack elixirs for the time being. When Du Xiaofu asked, the Medicine King naturally nodded and agreed to help. He even asked Du Xiaofu to concoct the elixirs together with him, intending to impart some knowledge of alchemy and talisman masters. Du Xiaofu originally wanted to take advantage of the time when the Medicine King was concocting the elixirs to practice the profound soul eyes that his brother, Zhen Qingchun, had imparted to him previously. During the battle with Lu Kuan in the imperial capital, Zhen Qingchuan's primordial spirit had used his physical body to activate this strange technique to attack one's spirit. Later, when Du Xiaofu fought against Ho Bumming, he had also used it once. However, he wasn't very familiar with it, and its power hadn't reached its peak yet. Previously, when his brother, Zhen Qingchuan's primordial spirit, had used his physical body to fight, it had been of great help to Du Xiaofu in his cultivation of the profound soul eyes. After a little guidance from Zhen Qingchun, Du Xiaofu had mastered the profound soul eyes. However, if he wanted to achieve the power it should have, he would need to comprehend it properly and cultivate it for a period of time. But now that the Medicine King was willing to guide him, Du Xiaofu naturally couldn't ask for anything more. He also wanted to ask the Medicine King for some medical knowledge. Therefore, after handing over the matters of the World Society to the Eagle King, Gong Dao, Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and Du Xiaoqing left some instructions. They followed the Medicine King, Yi Wuming, into the secret room of the World Society to concoct elixirs in seclusion, the imperial capital of the Stone Dragon Empire. From afar, the silhouette was vast and boundless. It was like an endless giant dragon that lay dormant, surrounded by rivers and rivers. It was majestic and majestic. The streets of the imperial capital were bustling with noise and excitement. The palace buildings were continuous and the streets were crowded with people. A black figure stood in the middle of the crowded street. His entire body was covered in a black cloak that covered his face, making it impossible for others to see his appearance. The black figure looked at the Du household from afar and slightly raised his head. Within his eyes, there was a strange light that resembled lightning. Then, the black figure disappeared like a ghost. In the dark city, behind the Mu family's trading company, in a quiet study room, several figures were standing respectfully. A big man who looked to be in his 40s was sitting upright. He couldn't be considered handsome, but he had a heroic spirit. He had a well-built body and his eyes were bright. He had an imposing aura without being angry. At this moment, he was holding a message jade slip in his hand. He had a shocked expression on his face as he looked at the people in the study room. He bitterly smiled and said, "I never thought that the World Society with the Medicine King, Yi Wuming, and the Eagle King, Gong Dao, would actually have that brat as its president." In the dark city, in a vast hall, there was a skinny old man who looked to be in his 60s. Evil chi was fluctuating around his body, causing the surrounding space to faintly distort. His deep eyes were filled with monstrous anger as he shouted, "The World Society! I never thought that brat would be the president of the World Society. I will definitely not let that brat off." Patriarch Du Xiaofu has already grown up. He is the brave god king of the Stone Dragon Empire. It is rumored that he defeated Lu Kuan, a martial king who had the potential to become a human king. In addition, the World Society also has the Medicine King, Yi Wuming, and the Eagle King, Gong Dao. I'm afraid that it won't be easy to deal with them. In the hall, there was an old man who was frowning. Evil chi was fluctuating around his body. I don't care what kind of background that brat has. He killed my son, Yun Ming, and I will definitely not let him off. The skinny old man in black shouted coldly. He was the patriarch of the Black Fiend sect, Shui Tianqiu, one of the strongest cultivators in the dark forest. Reporting to the sovereign, someone wants to see the sovereign. Right at this moment, a burly man hurriedly entered the main hall. I told you not to disturb us. Why did you barge in so recklessly? An old man in the hall reprimanded in a deep voice. Elder, that person is too powerful. The disciples outside can't stop him at all. Protector Ku is still in his hands. He said that he is called Mountain Man Wuzhen. If Patriarch doesn't want to see him, he will leave immediately, the burly man said in a trembling voice. Mountain Man Wuzhen. Shui Tianqiu's expression changed greatly when he heard this. Then, he was puzzled. But after a short while, he immediately stood up and said to the burly man, Quick, take me to see him. Night fell. A bright moon hovered in the sky. The moonlight shone on the winding river outside the Imperial Dragon City. The surface of the river occasionally glowed with silver light. The treetops swayed slightly in the night wind, casting ghostly shadows on the streets. The night in the Imperial Dragon City was as lively as usual. However, in front of the Dew Palace, the night was less noisy than during the day. It gradually quieted down. Chi. At this moment, under the moonlight, a figure silently appeared outside the Dew Palace like a ghost. Chapter 5:10. Although the Dew household was mostly flattened by Du Xiaofu the last time, it had been repaired and restored to its original grandeur, proving that it had once been glorious. However, after the battle with Du Xiaofu the last time, the Dew household was mostly flattened, and half of the strong practitioners were lost. Even the old guardian king had fallen, and the reputation of the Dew household had plummeted. All the major factions in the capital knew that the Dew household had stood tall for thousands of years, but this time, it would be difficult for it to recover to its previous state, and was destined to decline. Who are you? Following the appearance of the black figure, outside the Dew household, there were guards dressed in battle armor who rushed out. Although the Dew household was not as good as before, it was still the old guardian king's residence, and not just anyone could barge in. Especially when this person was dressed in strange clothes, acting mysterious, and emitting an unsettling aura. Faced with the guard's question, the black figure did not seem to care at all, and slowly walked towards the Dew household, as if wanting to enter the Dew household. Stop! A guard shouted, and there were people who quickly blocked the black figure's path, all of them raising their weapons, and in an instant, a fierce aura surged. The black figure raised his head slightly, and in the dusky night, his eyes emitted a dazzling light like lightning. It was not something that could be looked at directly with the naked eye, and just one look was enough to cause one's eyes to darken and one's soul to be injured. Crackle! Suddenly, within the bodies of all the guards, the armor on their bodies cracked, and destructive lightning flashed out. One by one, they did not even have the chance to scream before they were turned into pieces by the destructive lightning aura. The black figure did not even look at the guards, and strode towards the Dew household. The vermilion door of the Dew household was directly shattered, and he stepped into the Dew household. Who are you? Who dares to barge into the Dew household? Some of the Dew family's disciples gathered around. Without a doubt, after experiencing 2 blows from Du Xiaofu, the arrogance of the Dew family's disciples in the past was much better than before. Chi. The black-clothed man did not speak. His face under the black robe slightly lifted as he looked at the surrounding Dew clan disciples. He gently extended his hand, and a middle-aged burly man was directly captured by his hand. Soon after, his body was covered with lightning glow. Finally, his body was directly turned into ashes in an instant. I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect it. After searching for so long, I finally found it. This is a great merit. The heavens are really helping me. At this moment, the black-clothed man seemed to be extremely excited. Lightning flashed in his eyes. Quickly inform the elders to capture and kill this person. The surrounding disciples of the Dew clan trembled. Some of them had actually been killed. After recovering from their shock, some of them shouted and waved the weapons in their hands, charging towards the black-robed man. Suddenly, a large area of dazzling light shone. Everyone attacked together. Their auras were not weak. Some of the more talented ones even had some lightning aura in their attacks. Chilala, the black-robed man made his move. The sleeves of his black robe shook slightly and a dazzling light of thunder and lightning swept out. Suddenly, it was like countless silver snakes flashing, directly enveloping the surrounding Du family members. Bang, bang, bang. A low-energy, muffled sound resounded. Dozens of Du family members were instantly destroyed. They did not have the strength to resist at all. They were like ants. Who dares to invade my Du residence? Kill. The surrounding Du clan experts leaped out. Suddenly, a large number of Du clan experts attacked together. All kinds of energy rune attacks swept out. I didn't expect the descendants of this clan to be so weak. Sigh. The black-clothed man sighed. Lightning gathered around his body and spread out, transforming into a brilliant sea of lightning. The terrifying aura was monstrous. It was terrifying to the point that it was frightening. It swept out in all directions. Bang, bang, bang. Lightning intertwined in the surroundings. Under the lightning, all the Du family members were killed. The black-clothed man only casually attacked. Even the surrounding walls and courtyards collapsed, turning into ruins. Smoke and dust soared into the sky. There's an expert invading. Quickly inform the elders. Hearing the commotion, the Du family members who came over suddenly shouted. More and more Du family members gathered. Quickly join forces and form a formation to suppress and kill. A Du family expert shouted. Immediately, the Du family members waved their weapons and formed a formation. Accompanied by a terrifying suppressive aura, they crushed towards the black-clothed man. They wanted to suppress the black-clothed man. Too weak. Your clan should no longer exist. Die. The black-clothed man sneered. The lightning aura around his body fluctuated. In a split second, the blazing lightning serpents linked together and violently spread out. Chi-la-la. In the midst of the shocking sound, the Du family members' attack was destroyed. The surrounding rubble soared into the sky. Dust filled the air. A large number of grand palace buildings exploded and the ground cracked. Many miserable shrieks resounded through the night. The Du family members were completely unable to resist. Everyone back off. Activate the formation. In midair, someone shouted. The remaining Du family members retreated. Then, rays of light soared into the sky. The formation array in the Du residence was activated. Immediately, the ground rumbled. The wind blew and clouds surged. A powerful formation array directly enveloped the black-clothed man. Can't even withstand a single blow. The black-clothed person looked at the large array that was enveloping him. However, he did not pay too much attention to it. His eyes moved slightly as he waved his large sleeve. The energy mat in his hand swept out along with lightning. An extremely frightening aura spread and spread. With a wave of his large sleeve, the symbol array was directly destroyed into shattered symbols with a bang. Rumble. The terrifying formation array was directly destroyed as if it was nothing. A large number of courtyards and pavilions were turned into ruins. Everyone back off to the main hall. Quick. In mid-air, dozens of figures descended. The Du family experts had finally arrived. A terrifying aura descended, shaking one's soul. Activate the second formation array. Suppress and kill. In the Du family, an elder shouted. The Du family definitely did not only have one formation array. The second formation array that was even more powerful was activated. Instantly, runes flashed. A light pillar gushed out, mixed with lightning. The light was especially resplendent in the night sky. It emitted an extremely shocking fluctuation. The aura was abnormally terrifying, causing one's hair to stand on end. Without a doubt, the second formation array was much more powerful than the first. I can't be bothered to waste time with you. Destroy. The black-clothed man was unmoved. The aura around his body exploded. A terrifying lightning ball appeared around his body. Boom. In a low, muffled sound, the terrifying formation array was directly shattered under the shocked gazes of the crowd. After that, The terrifying lightning ball that enveloped the black-clothed man continued to spread. Like a thunder sun, it illuminated the night sky. The terrifying lightning wreaked havoc at an extremely strange speed. Rumble. The entire Dew Palace was trembling violently. The ground was shaking and rumbling like an earthquake. Terrifying lightning sealed off the entire Dew Palace. Ah, the horrifying scene was monstrous. Many miserable cries were heard. Even more disciples of the Dew residents were silently destroyed by this terrifying attack and turned into ashes. Heavens, what happened to the Dew residents? At this moment, the entire Imperial Dragon City was shocked. Everyone rushed to the streets and looked at the terrifying lightning aura in the night sky. It was mixed with destruction, causing people to tremble in fear. The terrifying aura spread. A large number of disciples of the Dew residents were killed. That black-clothed man was too terrifying. Seems like your bloodline is already weak to the point of being no different from ants. This is only your aura, not your bloodline. Too weak. The black-clothed man raised his head and looked at the dozens of experts of the Dew residents in the sky. He sighed slightly. His dazzling eyes were filled with a sinister smile. Let's join hands and kill him. The experts of the Dew family were furious. A large number of their disciples were killed. They were extremely sorrowful. Their aura fluctuated as they joined hands to kill the black-clothed man. Their aura was also extremely shocking. It enveloped the sky and caused the space to tremble. Overestimating yourselves. The black-clothed man sneered indifferently. Lightning erupted. Almost without any movement, the surrounding area was turned into ruins. It was almost razed to the ground. Poochie poochie. In the sky, a large number of Dew family experts suddenly spurted out blood. Their attacks were all destroyed. Some of them were directly killed. They were simply unable to resist. Who are you? In the sky, a tyrannical aura descended. Multicolored light filled the air. The aura enveloped the sky. It's Kingu. And Du Chong, he also came. The disciples of the Dew residents saw hope. Kingu and Du Chong had come. They were undoubtedly the two strongest people of the Dew residents. There is a bloodline aura. Can this clan really rise from the ashes? The black-clothed man looked at Kingu and Du Chong in the sky. He seemed to have felt something. Suddenly, his dazzling eyes were filled with astonishment. Those who offend my Dew family die. Du Chong shouted. He had a dignified appearance. A mighty aura suddenly erupted like an erupting volcano. In a split second, the wind rose and the clouds surged. Dark clouds gathered together, accompanied by rumbling, lightning, and thunder. Then, it spread across the sky, and the black-clothed man's figure instantly pounced towards him. The peak of the complete martial lord realm. He has the bloodline aura of that clan. He should be an outstanding person. He really rose from the ashes. The black-clothed man looked at Du Chong, who was pouncing towards him. The strange lightning aura in his eyes fluctuated violently. Boom! Du Chong's figure pounced down. Silver lightning flashed in the dark clouds in the sky behind him. Under the sound of lightning and thunder, a terrifying fist directly smashed down towards the black-clothed man. The mighty aura caused people's hearts to palpitate. His talent is not bad. As his voice faded, the black-clothed man waved his sleeve. A handprint stretched out, and a palm instantly collided with the fist. Rumble. Under such a collision, waves of invisible energy spread out. The ground trembled as if there was an earthquake. Cracks continuously appeared on the ground. Terrifying lightning wreaked havoc, causing the countless gazes on the streets of the Imperial City to be unable to restrain their palpitations and shock. Poochie, however, immediately after, everyone saw the body of the outstanding person, Du Chong, fly away. Blood dripped from his mouth as he wildly spurted out. In the end, he heavily fell into the ruins. He was unable to resist at all. Chapter 511. Boom. The King Protector made his move. The aura of a martial king exploded, and the light was dazzling. The talisman runes surged and a dazzling silver lightning flashed. It was as if space was being distorted. A large amount of lightning flashed in the sky and suppressed the black-clothed man. Martial King Realm. Even the peak of the Martial King Realm is not enough. You are still far from it. The black-clothed man sneered. He waved his hand, and a lightning aura exploded. The lightning spread and strangely absorbed the King Protector's lightning attack. Boom! The King Protector was shocked. However, he made another move in a short moment. He clenched his fists and silver lightning flashed on his fists. The wind and clouds behind him surged, and the lightning talisman runes on his fists raged. It was as if a lightning ball had struck down. Hee, you are still far from enough. The black-clothed man sneered. His figure soared into the sky and a claw shot out like lightning. Rumble! A muffled sound of energy exploded. The lightning was dazzling and shot up into the sky. A mighty aura swept through the sky and stirred up the energy of heaven and earth. Crackle! Under everyone's gaze, the lightning fist of the King Protector was directly torn apart. At the same time, the black-clothed man clenched his hand and turned it into a fist. The lightning aura suppressed everything and landed on the King Protector's body. Bang! With a muffled sound, the King Protector's defense was destroyed. He was unable to resist the attack. Blood spurted out of his mouth and his body fell. Rumble! The ground where the King Protector's body landed cracked and crumbled inch by inch. The courtyard collapsed, and he was severely injured. All the remaining Du family disciples were shocked. They could not believe that the King Protector could not even withstand a single attack. Who dares to behave atrociously in the Stone Dragon Empire? At that moment, several figures descended from the sky. There were a total of 6 figures and 6 Martial King Realm auras burst out. Boom! The 6 of them seemed to have a great tacit understanding. 6 terrifying attacks gathered and formed a dazzling light in the sky. They intertwined like a dazzling sun. Terrifying might spread out, enough to collapse mountains and split the earth. This kind of terrifying might was too shocking, and then it suppressed and enveloped the black-clothed man. These were the kings of the various king manors in the imperial capital. At this moment, they had sensed the commotion and had all come to lend a hand to defend against the enemy. 6 martial kings are not enough. The black-robed man shouted softly. Lightning spread in his eyes, and a large area of lightning exploded. In an instant, a terrifying destructive aura was released. The lightning raged and turned into 6 lightning pythons. The lightning was like a tsunami, entrenched in the air and suppressed in all directions. Rumble! In an instant, the terrifying energy collided in midair. The vast power swept through the sky and could be said to be destructive. It caused countless gazes on the streets to tremble in fear. They were unable to resist at all. Under that terrifying power, the profound chi of those who were weaker started to stagnate. Their chi and blood surged, and blood flowed out of their mouths. Chi la la! The air trembled as the attacks of the 6 martial kings were destroyed and dissipated in the air. Poochie! 6 figures were knocked back in midair, revealing 6 shocked faces. All 6 of them violently spat out blood. Ka ka ka! The courtyard below turned into ruins and collapsed one after another. Many of the onlookers screamed and retreated. The crowd in the distance was dumbfounded. They could not believe what they had seen. No one had thought that the 6 martial kings could not do anything to that terrifying black-robed man. Who was that black-robed man? He's too terrifying. Countless gazes were shocked. How terrifying was that black-robed man's strength? All disciples of the Du family quickly enter the main hall and activate the king-suppressing array. In the shocked Du manor, someone shouted loudly. The king-suppressing array was the Du manor's last resort. Who dares to be so presumptuous in my Stone Dragon Empire? At the same time, above the imperial palace, there was a loud shout that reverberated in the night sky. Then, in the vast sky above the imperial palace, there was an explosion of golden light, illuminating the entire imperial capital as if it was daytime. Roar! A dragon's roar shook the sky. In the golden light above the imperial palace, there was a huge golden dragon that flew across the sky. It brought with it an immeasurable amount of golden light, causing the entire imperial capital to tremble. Its aura was terrifying and turbulent. Such a small place actually has such a cultivation. What a rich imperial palace dragon aura. The black-robed man was surprised. His eyes flickered and lightning erupted from his body. Suddenly, his entire body was like a miniature lightning ball. The surrounding lightning was like a silver snake that enveloped his entire body. It was destructive and overbearing, suppressing the golden dragon. Rumble. The terrifying collision was dazzling. The sky was chaotic and on the verge of collapse, as if it was about to be destroyed. Bang, bang, bang. Then, there was a series of explosions in the sky. The golden dragon shattered and the earth shook. This time, the black-robed man, who was wrapped in lightning, was forced to retreat a few steps. His face darkened as he looked at the countless figures below. Lightning flickered around his body and his figure suddenly disappeared. Boom! When the black-robed man appeared again, he picked up the heavily injured Du Chong and the King Protector. His figure flashed, and he flew across the sky. Where do you think you're going? In the Imperial Palace, there was an old voice that swept out and chased forward like lightning. Suddenly, the two figures disappeared from the sight of the people in the Imperial capital in a few flashes, leaving behind countless shocked gazes. That night, the entire Imperial capital was shocked and trembling. The dignified Du household was razed to the ground. Almost all of the Du household's experts had fallen. More than half of the Du household's disciples were killed and countless were injured. The Du household, which had stood for thousands of years, was already swaying in the wind and rain under Du Xiaofu's two attacks. Now, in front of the even more terrifying black-robed man, it was completely razed to the ground. The Du household was basically destroyed. The remaining Du household's disciples did not have any experts to speak of. The Du household, which had stood for thousands of years, was razed to the ground. In the Du household, inside and outside the ruins, there were people crying. Blood was dripping everywhere, and there were broken limbs everywhere. It was incomparably miserable. All of the Du household's disciples did not know what had happened. They had actually provoked such a terrifying opponent. That black-robed man was too terrifying. With just a raise of his hand, he easily razed the Du household to the ground. The dignified Du household was actually powerless to resist. That night, the entire Stone Dragon Empire saw that there was always someone better than them. How terrifying was a true expert! With just a raise of his hand, he could raze the dignified Du household to the ground and destroy it into ruins. The next day, the news of the Du household being razed to the ground and the capture of the king's protector, Du Chong, also spread like a storm. This was not a small blow to the entire empire, especially to the empire's army. One must know that all these years, the imperial capital's army was commanded by the Du household. In the dark forest, everything was as usual. The news did not spread here, so they did not receive the news of the Du household being razed to the ground so quickly. Moreover, even if this news spread, it would not affect much of the dark forest. However, the news that Du Xiaofu was the leader of the world society in the Chaos Demon City caused quite a commotion in the dark forest. For a moment, there were many discussions. Some were shocked while others were astonished. There were also some who were worried. Du Xiaofu was the Courage King of the Stone Dragon Empire and a student of the Tianwu Academy. Now that he was the leader of the world society, would the Stone Dragon Empire and Tianwu Academy make a move against the Dark Forest? Or had the Stone Dragon Empire and Tianwu Academy joined forces to sweep through the Dark Forest and control everything? In the world society, the situation in the Chaos Demon City had improved. The city gates were wide open, and there were no more talisman arrays at night. There were also no more demonic beasts from the Chaos Demon Cliff to harass the city. Everyone in the Chaos Demon City guessed that the World Society's leader, Du Xiaofu, must have severely injured the Raging Flame Mountain-splitting bear and the armored demon vulture. That must have shaken the Chaos Demon Cliff, so the demonic beasts had restrained themselves. Just like this, time passed by silently. 2 days later, the dark forest fell into a kind of silence for no reason. The news of Du Xiaofu becoming the leader of the World Society had caused the one pavilion, one castle, and 2 sects to fall into a state of silence. Their guesses about the World Society had finally come to fruition. It was just that this outcome caused the other major powers to feel fear and a headache. In the dark forest, there was a continuous mountain range with luxuriant trees. The cliffs were steep and the rivers surged. The mountains were tall and green. Ka, the mountain path twisted and turned. At this moment, there were more than 1,000 people standing quietly in the dense forest. All of them were wearing strange masks and cloaks that concealed their faces. The 1,000 people had concealed their auras, but the aura that spread out was extremely bloody and frightening. However, this atmosphere caused the entire space to fall into silence. There were no birds in the surrounding mountains, and the beasts on the ground were hibernating. There were several figures standing quietly in the lead. They were also wearing masks, so their faces couldn't be seen clearly. However, each and every one of them had a faint chill in their eyes. They were as cold and sinister as a poisonous snake. If there were any experts present, the auras of these people would be enough to shock them. These people were all martial kings, and there were even 6-star soul symbol masters among them. With such cultivation, they could probably sweep through the entire dark forest. When the vice sect master arrives, we will raise Tianwu Academy to the ground, a gloomy old man coldly said. His eyes were filled with coldness as he continued, previously, we lost someone in this small dark forest. It's time for Tianwu Academy to pay the price. It's the end of the month. Let's go. Chapter 512. Whoosh! In the World Club, 3 days after Du Xiaofu and the King of Medicine entered the secret chamber, the sky above the World Club was suddenly filled with wind and clouds. Boom! Immediately after, the sky above the entire Chaos Demon City was filled with wind and clouds. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. The aura made people's hearts tremble and attracted the attention of countless people. Fortunately, that change disappeared after a short while, and everything returned to normal. In a secret chamber of the World Club, the rich smell of elixir spread. A radiant and powerful elixir flashed with mysterious runes. In the end, it was put into a jade box by Du Xiaofu, who was shocked. The King of Medicine's face was pale as if he had used up a lot of energy. He said to Du Xiaofu, "The profound God elixir has been successfully refined. It's a king-grade Nirvana realm elixir. I haven't refined elixirs of this level for a long time and am a little rusty." "Thank you, Old Yao." Du Xiaofu put away the profound God elixir, but his face was filled with shock. In these 3 days, Du Xiaofu finally knew how terrifying the King of Medicine's name was. How many people could refine a king-grade Nirvana realm elixir? Even if it was in the legendary Zhongzhou, where there were many strong people and countless geniuses rising up, a king-grade Nirvana realm elixir would be an absolute treasure. However, the King of Medicine refined a king-grade Nirvana realm elixir in one go. His every movement was filled with the aura of a supreme elixir. The profound God elixir is used to strengthen and recover the primordial spirit. Even with your current cultivation, you still don't need the profound God elixir. What do you need to do to refine this profound God elixir? The King of Medicine asked curiously. "I can't say much at the moment. Please forgive me, Old Yao. When the time is right, I will definitely tell you." Du Xiaofu looked apologetic. It wasn't that he wanted to hide it from Yao Wang, but it wasn't appropriate for him to say too much about his brother, Shen Qingchun. He needed his brother, Zhang Qingchuan's approval. The Medicine King stared at Du Xiaofu as he recalled something. Back then, he had fought against a mysterious person. He smiled indifferently and replied, "I understand. I need to do some breathing exercises for a few days to recover. You can leave first. I hope that the pill concocting this time around will be of some help to you. You should properly comprehend it." "Thank you, King Pharmacist." Du Xiaofu nodded his head and left the secret chamber. This time, the Medicine King had concocted pills for him, and he had even received special guidance from the Medicine King. Naturally, the benefits were immense. In the entire Stone Dragon Empire, there weren't more than 3 people who could afford to invite the Medicine King to concoct a king-grade Nirvana-level pill. After Du Xiaofu left the secret chamber, he saw the little tiger who was guarding outside. Then, he saw Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaoqing in the World Society. After exchanging a few words, he entered the room in the courtyard. The Medicine King's attainments in concocting pills are really not weak. In the entire Zhongzhou, his attainments in concocting pills can be considered top-notch. Du Xiaofu's small pagoda floated out of his bosom. Light filled the air. Then, Zhang Qingquan's figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. His figure was illusory. However, Du Xiaofu relied on his sharp, spiritual energy to discover that Zhang Qingquan's illusory figure was becoming more and more solid. Brother Qingquan, the abstruse god pill. Du Xiaofu passed the jade box containing the abstruse god pill to Zhang Qingquan. A king-grade nirvana-level abstruse god pill is quite beneficial to me. It can speed up my recovery. After I consume the abstruse god pill, I'm afraid I'll have to enter a recovery state for a short period of time and won't be able to keep an eye on you. Be careful. After receiving the jade box, Zhang Qingquan's illusory figure rippled. Then, he mysteriously disappeared into the small pagoda. The small pagoda flickered and dimmed down. It fell into Du Xiaofu's palm and was kept by Du Xiaofu. I should return to Tianwu Academy and cultivate properly for a period of time, Du Xiaofu mumbled to himself. Ever since he left the Dragon City, he hadn't had the chance to cultivate properly. Although he defeated Lu Kuren in the battle in the imperial capital, Du Xiaofu knew that if he had relied on his own strength from the start, it would have been difficult for him to defeat Lu Kuren. This made Du Xiaofu realize that there were many experts in the outside world. Geniuses would compete for hegemony and outstanding talents would emerge. If he were to go to the central region one day, would he have a place for himself? A moment later, Du Xiaofu invited the Eagle King, Gong Dao, Li Shui, and Hua Fankong to the side hall. Du Xiaofu intended to make a trip back to Tianwu Academy. As for the world society, it wasn't in any real danger yet. Even if the one pavilion, one castle, and two sects were to invade, they would still be wary. Furthermore, the Chaos Demon Cliff was secretly involved in the world society. Even if the one pavilion, one castle, and two sects were to join forces, they might not be able to deal with the world society. Du Xiaofu also had some confidence in the Mu clan fort. The chances of the one pavilion, one castle, and two sects invading the central region wasn't high. At the very least, the chances of the Mu clan fort invading the central region weren't high. Even if the other three powers were to join forces, they might not be able to do anything to the world society. It's right for you to focus on your cultivation. The Tianwu Academy's Tianwu Talisman Realm is indeed suitable for cultivation. The world society should be fine for now, so don't worry and go. Hearing that Du Xiaofu intended to return to Tianwu Academy to cultivate in seclusion, the Eagle King said, even if the one pavilion, one castle, and two sects invade the central region, it will take some time. If there is any movement, I will send someone to inform you. President, I've already planted some spies in the one pavilion, one castle, and two sects. If nothing goes wrong, we'll be able to find out as soon as possible if the one pavilion, one castle, and two sects are plotting something against World Union, Li Shui said. And Du Xiaofu nodded. He was extremely satisfied with Li Shui's performance. He had heard about Li Shui's performance from the Medicine King and Eagle King Gong Saber. After familiarizing herself with the world society, she gradually immersed herself in her role. Although Li Shui didn't have much experience, her comprehension and observation skills were extraordinary. To be able to rank high on the martial ranking, she was naturally not an ordinary person. In a short period of time, Li Shui had done many things for the world society, especially gathering information and monitoring the movements of the various major powers. This was why Du Xiaofu handed the Moon Shadow Hall to Li Shui. After delegating some matters, Du Xiaofu didn't have anything to worry about. A few moments later, he sat on the little tiger and quietly left the Chaos Demon City. The Chaos Demon City was quite far away from Tianwu Academy. Generally speaking, a Pulse Realm cultivator might not be able to travel from Chaos Demon City to Tianwu Academy in 1 or 2 months. An ordinary Pulse Spirit Realm cultivator would need at least a month. As for a Martial Marquis, it was naturally much faster. A few days was more than enough. With the little tiger's speed, Du Xiaofu closed his eyes and comprehended the profound soul pupil and the knowledge of alchemy taught by the Medicine King in less than 2 days. After that, he returned to the Tianwu Academy that he had been separated from for a long time. In midair, a majestic mountain range appeared in front of them. The cliffs were precipitous, and the mountain peaks rose steeply from the ground. There were surging rivers and lush trees that covered many buildings. The mountain range stretched far into the distance, appearing simple and unadorned, yet grand and ancient. I'm back. Looking at the ancient land below, Du Xiaofu spat out a mouthful of turbid air. Initially, he had high hopes for Tianwu Academy. Later on, he was somewhat disappointed. In the end, he had assimilated into the Tianwu Academy. To Du Xiaofu, this was the cradle of experts. It was a place that had produced countless experts that shocked the empire and were conferred the title of Marquis. In Du Xiaofu's heart, this place was his second home outside of Stone City. Roar! Amidst the mountain range, two lone peaks stood tall. They were like dragons with their heads held high. Surrounded by water on both sides, there was a wide path that led to the mountain range. The little tiger let out a low roar, and its massive body landed on the plaza. Senior Du is back. In an instant, the students of Tianwu Academy recognized Du Xiaofu with a single glance and exclaimed in surprise. In a short period of time, many students of the academy rushed out. Greetings, Senior Du. Greetings, Senior Du. The students of Tianwu Academy crowded forward to greet him. The purple-robed young man before them was still the benchmark in their hearts. He was an existence that they looked up to. Du Xiaofu nodded with a smile. Then, he followed Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, and the little tiger, who had transformed into a black kitten, into a familiar place that exuded a sacred and ancient aura. The limestone floor, the ancient courtyard, and the ancient trees had all been there for thousands of years. Senior Du is back. Senior Du has already been conferred the title of Marquis in the Stone Dragon Empire. He defeated the human king of the Sky Snake sect, Lu Kuan. Senior Du is the pride of our Tianwu Academy. When Du Xiaofu returned to the academy, the news spread and the academy was in an uproar. After returning to the academy, Du Xiaofu slowly returned to the blacksmith department. He saw Han Chao, Bing Na, and Tu Tong. He was surprised to see that Bing Na and Tu Tong weren't cultivating in seclusion. Junior Du, you're back? Are you tired from the journey? Junior Du, I heard that you defeated Lu Kuan in the Stone Dragon Empire. You're too powerful. You've brought glory to our Tianwu Academy. Junior Du, we've missed you. Hearing Han Chao's words and looking at Bing Na and Tu Tong, Du Xiaofu smiled. He felt a sense of closeness that he hadn't felt for a long time. You're back? It's good that you're back. I heard that the commotion in the Stone Dragon Empire wasn't small. After chatting with Han Chao, Bing Na, and Tu Tong for a while, Du Xiaofu immediately went to look for the vice principal. Chapter 5:13. Du Xiaofu smiled when he saw Vice Principal Zhuge Qiangbong's familiar savage face. He felt a sense of familiarity and scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. He said to Vice Principal Zhuge, "What happened in the Stone Dragon Empire was an accident. I didn't expect it to cause such a huge commotion. Even the Academy knows about it. Stop pretending to be innocent. You became famous in one battle. You defeated Lu Kuan of the Sky Snake sect with your ability. You have brought honor to the Academy." Vice Principal Zhuge Qiangbong glanced at Du Xiaofu and asked, "What are your plans this time?" "I want to enter the Sky Martial Talisman realm and comprehend in seclusion," Du Xiaofu said. He also wanted to cultivate in seclusion for a period of time to increase his cultivation and comprehension. That was why he rushed back to the Sky Martial Academy. It's good to cultivate diligently, but you must not be impatient. The path of cultivation is endless. Don't be self-satisfied. Vice Principal Zhuge Qiangbong looked at Du Xiaofu with admiration in his eyes. After chatting with Vice Principal Zhuge for a while, the two of them started discussing the secret soldier art and sacred body art. Unknowingly, the two of them discussed until late at night. When Du Xiaofu arrived at the courtyard in the Weapon Institute, the moon had already moved to the west. The bright moon hung in the sky and shrouded the mountains. Looking at the bright moon in the sky, Du Xiaofu quietly stayed for a while before entering the courtyard. The next morning, after exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Du Xiaofu got up and found Du Xiaoyao and Du Xiaoqing. He told Du Xiaoyao not to steal spirit herbs from the Academy's medicinal field. He also left a few extraordinary spirit herbs for Du Xiaoyao before leaving. In the morning, Du Xiaofu appeared at the plaza outside the Sky Martial Talisman realm. The ancient stone gate stood tall and was still spotless. An ancient aura spread out from the hazy space behind the stone gate. It was unknown how long the Sky Martial Talisman realm had stood here. Along the way, Du Xiaofu met some juniors. He also inquired about the general, Gu Xinyan, and Ghost Baby's situation. From some of his juniors, Du Xiaofu learned that the general, Gu Xinyan, and the others had already returned to the academy. At the level of the general and the others' cultivation, the academy wouldn't say anything if they stayed at home for a period of time. It seemed that they couldn't put down their cultivation at all. It's Senior Du is here. Senior Du entered the Sky Martial Talisman realm. On the plaza, students in 2s and 3s saw Du Xiaofu and immediately surrounded him in surprise. Du Xiaofu nodded slightly to the crowd and looked around. Then he saw the middle-aged man who had told him some things to pay attention to and rules in the Sky Martial Talisman realm. He was taking a nap on the big stone beside the stone gate. The big stone was like a stone bed. It was unknown how many years he had slept on it. The surface of the stone was as smooth as jade. The middle-aged man seemed to feel that someone was looking at him. He opened his eyes slightly. His face looked like he was in his 40s. His black hair draped over his shoulders. He couldn't be considered handsome, but his face was very clean. Du Xiaofu nodded slightly to the middle-aged man. Then he stepped into the Sky Martial Talisman realm. The middle-aged man glanced at Du Xiaofu. Then he turned his body and continued to take a nap. Inside the Sky Martial Talisman realm, ripples of light spread out. An ancient aura spread out. It was shockingly rich. Qi. Du Xiaofu selectively entered the realm of enlightenment. Then, an invisible corridor appeared in front of him. The surroundings were dazzling. The sky was covered with divine radiance. Du Xiaofu stepped into the realm of enlightenment. In the realm of enlightenment, spatial ripples flickered. Demonic beast phantoms appeared everywhere in the light. Walking along the invisible corridor, there were many spatial ripples. There were fist techniques, palm techniques, sword techniques, blade techniques, and so on. There were also phantoms of array flags, spiritual cauldrons, and talisman cauldrons. Everything in the surroundings seemed extremely mysterious. Rays of light flickered. It was illusory and blurry. The aura was ancient and boundless. Du Xiaofu entered the spatial ripples of a palm technique. His figure disappeared into the light. This time, Du Xiaofu didn't want to comprehend martial techniques. He just wanted to find a place to comprehend the mysterious move. In the realm of enlightenment, there were many martial techniques. It would be helpful to comprehend the mysterious move. Comprehending martial techniques and using the mysterious move to perfect them would be extremely beneficial to the comprehension of the mysterious move. As Du Xiaofu entered the heavenly martial talisman realm, the news immediately spread throughout the Tianwu Academy. No wonder Senior Du was able to become the Earth Rank 1 on the martial ranking. He suppressed everyone and defeated the Heavenly Snake Sect's human king, Lu Kuan. He immediately entered the heavenly martial talisman realm to enter seclusion. It seems like we haven't worked hard enough. If we want to become an expert like Senior Du, I'm afraid we have to put in even more effort. The academy was filled with discussions. Time slowly passed. Night fell. The dense forest under the night sky was dusky. The faint moonlight shrouded the dense forest, casting ghostly shadows. There were no less than 1,000 people quietly standing under the moonlight in a certain valley. All of them wore strange masks on their heads and wore dough robes. It was impossible to see their faces clearly. Although they had restrained their auras, the aura that spread from them was extremely bloody, dark, and frightening. This was especially so for the few masked leaders. Their invisible auras caused the entire place to be silent. The surrounding mountains were devoid of birds and beasts. Tianwu Academy is just ahead. I just received news from the Vice Sect Master. We will definitely arrive at dusk tomorrow. Among the leaders, a plump man had a chilling gaze that was as sinister as a venomous snake. Kiki, we will raise Tianwu Academy to the ground tomorrow. A tall and skinny figure had a chilling gaze that caused the surrounding temperature to plummet. He said in a sinister voice, Tianwu Academy should have a strong foundation. They might have already sensed us and surrounded the area. As long as anyone dares to come out, kill them without mercy. Don't let a single one of them off. Night enveloped the mountain range. Swoosh! A figure suddenly appeared on top of a mountain in Tianwu Academy. Under the moonlight, the figure was like a ghost before disappearing once again. All Academy elders, listen up. Head to the main hall immediately. In the night, a faintly discernible voice was transmitted into the ears of all the elders in the Academy. However, none of the students were aware of it. Swoosh, swoosh. Whooshing sounds could be heard all over the Academy as all the elders rushed to the main hall. What's going on? Who sent the notice? What's going on? In the ancient main hall, the elders rushed in and started discussing the matter. Following which, Elder Sun Biyue, Elder He Hu, Elder Shangwan, Elder Liao, Elder Morong Shi, and the other elders rushed in. Elder Sun, Elder He, do you know who sent the notice? Upon seeing Elder Sun Biyue, Elder He Hu, and the others, the surrounding elders hurriedly asked, We don't know either. We only came here after receiving the news. Elder Sun Biyue, Elder He Hu, and the others were perplexed. They had no idea what was going on and were as confused as everyone else. Everyone, take a seat. Right at this moment, 5 figures arrived outside the main hall. They were the first elder, second elder, third elder, Vice Principal Zhuge Qiangbong, and even Elder Zhou from the medicine department were among them. Greetings, Vice Principal, first elder, second elder, third elder, and Elder Zhou. Upon seeing the arrival of the 5 people, all the elders immediately bowed. At this moment, they realized the severity of the matter. Even the Vice Principal, first elder, and Elder Zhou, who usually did not show their faces, had come out. This was enough to prove the severity of the matter. Within the main hall, all the elders were seated. Just as Elder Sun Biyue was about to ask, Vice Principal Zhuge looked at all the elders in the main hall with a grave expression on his face. He took the lead and said, All elders, from now on, evacuate all the students of the Academy, starting from the freshmen. Vice Principal, what's going on? Hearing those words, all of the elders were shocked and their eyes trembled. Calamity. This is the calamity that Tianwu Academy is facing. It's hard to escape from this calamity, and we can only hide. Evacuate all the students and leave behind the legacy of Tianwu Academy, so as to not let down the heroic spirits of Tianwu Academy. Vice Principal Zhuge sighed. It was hard to escape from this calamity. Calamity? To think that it would appear in our generation. Is Tianwu Academy going to die in our hands? The first elder sighed. Chapter 5:14. Vice Principal, First Elder, what exactly is going on? Elder He Hu asked. All of this was hard for the elders who had just arrived to accept. Our Tianwu Academy had a glorious past. Our glory was enough to cause the entire central region to tremble. Tianwu Academy still has some things that are coveted by countless powers in the central region, which is why we are facing such a calamity. The first elder looked at the elders with a solemn expression. The first elder looked at the other elders present with a grim expression and said, Everyone, today's calamity has arrived. Tianwu Academy will not be able to escape this calamity. The ancestors of the Academy have long predicted that such a day would come. Thus, when the Academy started to decline, they had already made preparations. Some of the ancestors used the power of the Academy to set up a teleportation array so that they could leave behind a legacy for the Academy before the calamity. They hoped that the flames of the Academy would be passed down and that we would have a chance to rise again one day and regain the glory of our ancestors. Hearing this, the elders' eyes trembled. Even they did not know about this. They only knew that Tianwu Academy was extraordinary. Countless experts had emerged from the Academy, and every one of them was powerful enough to shock the entire continent. Many of the elders did not expect that the glory of Tianwu Academy would cause the entire central region to tremble. Let's begin. The Inner Academy will activate the Space Teleportation Talisman Array and send the Academy's disciples to the 4 corners of the Dark Forest to prevent them from being attacked one by one. Hopefully, they will be able to escape this calamity, the second elder said in a deep voice. His aged face was filled with anger. Ever since the decline of the Academy, every student whose cultivation had stepped into the Martial King realm would have a spirit communication jade strip secretly sent out by the Academy. Recently, there have been fewer and fewer students who were able to step into the Martial King realm. However, after countless years, the number of spirit communication jade slips has probably increased. It's just that we don't know how many of them are left. The Inner Academy has already sent out a notice that all the spirit communication jade slips will shatter. They will know that Tianwu Academy is facing a calamity and will immediately come to help. However, we don't know how many of them will arrive in time and how many of them will still care about the Academy and come to lend a helping hand, the third elder said with a sigh. I didn't expect the Academy to have such arrangements all these years. Many elders exclaimed in astonishment. All these years, all of them thought that the elders of the Inner Academy were only cultivating in seclusion. They didn't expect that the elders of the Inner Academy had been guarding Tianwu Academy for generations, waiting for the arrival of a calamity. Buzz buzz. A deep and melodious bell chime resounded in the sky above Tianwu Academy. This was the emergency bell of Tianwu Academy. In an instant, a large number of figures rushed out from the surroundings of the academy. They looked at each other in confusion, not knowing what had happened. All students of Tianwu Academy gather in front of the Tianwu Talisman stage immediately. Freshmen, move to the front without any mistakes. Right at this moment, a hurried voice reverberated throughout Tianwu Academy. Quickly go to the Heaven Martial Talisman realm. Within the academy, numerous silhouettes immediately rushed out and rushed towards the Heavenly Martial Talisman. What's going on? Are we going to the Heaven Martial Seal realm? In the courtyard of the Weapon Institute, Du Shaoqing stared at the sky. Her ethereal eyes rippled as she asked Du Xiaoyao, who was beside her. Du Xiaofu is in the Heaven Martial Talisman stage. I think we should head there first. Du Xiaoyao felt that they should head to the Heaven Martial Talisman stage. Thus, she followed the little tiger and headed towards the Heaven Martial Talisman stage. So, numerous figures soared into the sky. In the dark night, the entire Heaven Martial Talisman stage began to tremble violently. The sound of wind breaking resounded in the sky. The students who were closer to the Heaven Martial Talisman stage didn't take long to reach the vast plaza in front of it. What's going on? What happened in the academy? Does anyone know what's going on? Why would the academy ask us to gather in such an emergency? In the square, the sound of discussion suddenly resounded. No one knew what was going on. The clamor suddenly spread, and everyone was in a state of panic. All students in the Heaven Martial Talisman stage, regardless of whether they are in the combat realm, comprehension realm, or spirit realm, come out. The Heaven Martial Talisman stage will be closed from now on. Within the Heaven Martial Talisman stage, a thunderous voice resounded in the combat realm, comprehension realm, and spirit realm. As the voice resounded, the students who were comprehending in the comprehension realm were immediately awakened. Boom! Within the Heaven Martial Talisman stage, it instantly shook as if it was about to collapse. Within the Heaven Martial Talisman stage, within the space that was fluctuating with multicolored light, Du Xiaofu spat out a mouthful of turbid air. His eyes narrowed as his figure flashed and left. In the plaza outside the Heaven Martial Talisman stage, more and more students gathered. Under the cover of the night, one couldn't see the end of it. Only the lively and noisy voices resounded in the sky. After leaving the comprehension realm, Du Xiaofu arrived at the small hall at the entrance of the Heaven Martial Talisman stage. He saw Gu Xinyan, Wu Kei, General, Ghost Child, Guo Xiaofeng, Li Yuxiao, Black Eagle, Tang Wu, Chasing Cloud Swallow, Yi Feiyu, and the others who came out of the combat realm together. You're back? Seeing Du Xiaofu, General, Gu Xinyan, Ghost Child, and the others were a little surprised. Then, they all revealed smiles. Do you know what's going on? What happened? After nodding to everyone, Du Xiaofu immediately asked General and the others. He didn't know what had happened in the academy. He had just entered the comprehension realm and was told to close the Heaven Martial Talisman stage. I don't know. Let's go out and take a look. General and the others all looked serious. Then, everyone nodded and immediately jumped out of the Heaven Martial Talisman stage. It's Senior Du and Senior General, Senior Gu Xinyan, and the others. When the students in the square saw Du Xiaofu, General, and the others coming out of the Heaven Martial Talisman stage, they were all shocked and started discussing. Why are there so many people? What happened? Du Xiaofu, General, Gu Xinyan, and the others looked at the many students gathered outside the square. They lowered their heads and looked at each other. Their expressions became more and more serious. Everyone knew that if it wasn't something serious, there wouldn't be such a lineup. Brother! In the crowd, a beautiful figure flashed. Behind her was a little black cat and a little golden macaque on her shoulder. It was Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, and the little tiger. When they saw Du Xiaofu, they immediately passed through the crowd and came over. Seeing Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaofu immediately asked Du Xiaoqing, "Little Qing, do you know what happened?" Du Xiaoqing shook her head. Her ethereal eyes were also filled with doubt. She said, "I don't know what happened either." Whoosh whoosh. Just as Du Xiaoqing's voice sounded, there was a large amount of wind-breaking sounds in the sky, following which a large number of figures wrapped in flowing runes swept down like rainbows. "The elders have come." Gu Xinyan looked at the people in the sky and softly said to the people beside her, "The elders have come. Greetings, elders." Seeing that the elders had arrived, the students in the plaza immediately bowed respectfully. The clamor gradually subsided as everyone waited for the elders' explanation. "The vice principal and elder Zhou have also come." Du Xiaofu saw the vice-headmaster Zhuge Changbang and elder Zhou from the medicinal garden in front of the group of elders. Du Xiaofu's heart suddenly trembled when he saw the figures of these two people. An uneasy feeling vaguely surged into his heart. It wasn't difficult for Du Xiaofu to guess that if it wasn't for something major happening in the academy, Vice Principal Zhuge Changbang and Elder Zhou would definitely not come out so casually.